Everything's being recorded.
People know.
Okay.
So you have to be careful.
You have to be careful what we say. Usually I try to say things only that this person.
Later, be nice. What?
First shake it, remember?
Abis l'chaim, is dat?
You want to open it? Put it over here.
Abis l'chaim, yeah.
What about that?
Chaim,
But the
Yeah,
guys
turn
are
it with your,
doesn't make a difference.
you have a group over here. You know, part of that group over here.
Yeah.
I checked with,
What?
Yeah.
No. We did go. Even though I know for Shabbos, you have to. No issue.
Rabbi Yafi, someone just asked me 2 weeks ago. He says he doesn't see you anymore. Is that true? Huh? You don't know?
I don't know
Who he is? No, someone said he used to see you on King's Highway, doesn't see you anymore. Is that true or not? Oh, so, okay. So maybe he didn't see you that week. Okay. Huh? Okay, so then I don't know. Okay. Chaim, Chaim. Samach, Samach. What's the name of the shul? Reim Haovim Kesamecha Chayetzicha Mikedem Samach, Samach. Reim Haovim Kesamecha Chayetzicha Mikedem 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 Mikedem. Chaim, Chaim. First of all, Shkoyach for giving me the opportunity to Farbrengen, because usually that's the way it works. When you Farbrengen with others, you benefit yourself, because then you have to practice what you preach. It becomes like a kind of that's, by the way, the Rebbe's trick, that the Rebbe wants everyone to be much beyond other people, because like that, kind of stuck. So you hear Ratzon She'yiful Advarim Biyu B'Hashemim. Hopefully whatever I get to say should influence myself too. Even though nowadays there are other methods of how to speak to yourself and not sound crazy, you can walk around with a Bluetooth. But when you speak to yourself by Farbrengen, it looks even better. So the Nigan Samach, the Samach Reim Haovim got it all in, because you have the Nigan of Simcha, which is something that was really, really powerful. Hey Teves, Tavshim Mem Zayin. Even though people say that by the Rebbe we saw acknowledging the Yom Tov, but there was not such a Simcha Gluya yet at the time, which seemingly, because there was an appeal that came afterwards. Well, and even, right away, they never asked if this was.
If they could make it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it's possible.
That's interesting. I did this detail I didn't hear. Oh, yeah.
The appeal was notified.
What?
Obviously.
The appeal was notified.
Yeah, but there was an appeal. Of course.
Yeah. And the truth is that even after the appeal was over, there was also no real Simcha Gluya by the Rebbe, because we all know the Union of Beis Kislev, when the Rebbe was very disappointed. Whatever.
What was that?
Beis Kislev, which the following year when the appeal was won, which is Chafei Chesher, like we're talking about like 8, 9 months, 10 months later, and then a couple of days later, the Sfarim actually came back to 770, and then everyone planned a massive celebration, and the Rebbe kind of messed it up for everyone because the Rebbe was then the famous time the Rebbe was screaming really loud. He was officially it broke out when everyone was standing around when the Rebbe went on the way to the oil, I think it was, or the way to the mikveh, one of the two. And the Rebbe started to scream, mamish, shreklich. What's everyone standing around and watching the birds and watching this, and we should be learning, and we have the Sfarim, and we should be learning. So, again, no one knows exactly what was going on, but some people, the minds think, and sometimes they speak out, that when we see that, actually, people are not aware that same day when the Rebbe was Beis Kislev, when the Rebbe was screaming, so that morning already there was an answer that came from the Rebbe. But I remember hearing Rabbi David Raskin, saying it in loudspeaker, but I don't even remember what anyone even Bechlal understood from the answer. But this is the fact that the Rebbe wrote along the lines of Luchas Rishonos Nitnu Barash. The first Luchas were given with a whole shturim, and unfortunately it resulted in Egel Hazav, something like that, and the Achronos Nitnu Bachashay. The Luchas Achronos, when they came down in Yom Kippur, now with Luchas Achronos, he didn't come with a whole shturim, it was done Bachashay. The Rebbe kind of indicated, I don't know if it was officially clear, that he doesn't want this celebration to be Hey Teves style. Again, so now, really we're talking about, we should really be talking about the happier part. But since we already brought it up. So on Shabbos after, the Rebbe used an expression and he said that I was asked, for was bin charis from the kalim. In English, it might sound like, why did I go out of my box? I go out of the box. Like the Rebbe exploded. And the Lashon the Rebbe used, was bin charis from the kalim. Now, who asked the Rebbe that question? Who could have asked the Rebbe that question? The Rebbetzin. Who else asked the Rebbe such a question? The Rebbe Groner would ask the Rebbe. So seemingly the Rebbe, Yeah.
People write in and ask all sorts of questions.
Yeah, no. To ask her such a question, why did you go? Okay, whatever. Akopanim seemingly was the Rebbetzin also because the Rebbetzin, as we all know, was very involved. Hey Teves, she was like very she was kept being updated of the dancing in 770. She was basically the Rebbetzin, kind of like all of us didn't understand. Okay, so the Rebbe's complaints that people should be learning, they're all true, but it just didn't really fit. What do you expect? Everyone saw Hey Teves was such a big celebration, and now the Sfarim are actually coming back, and people came from all over the world. There was something there that didn't really fit into Seichel. So the Rebbe, and then the Rebbe gave an answer that wasn't also still not Seichel, because the Rebbe just explained that when you don't have the Sefer yet, so you're dancing, you're happy. But when you have the Svarim, then you have to learn in the Svarim. The answer was not satisfying Seichel. It was something unusual. No one knows, but what people say, a month later was Chavei Shvat. It's a kind of some type of Dvar Leah story, some type of kitrug. The Rebbe said clearly on Hey Teves that it was a kitrug. There was a kitrug in the literal sense of the word. Kitrug means an accusation, like a kind of accusing that the Lubavitch is not active, and then the accusation against the Rebbe that the Rebbe is not necessarily the hemshech of the free, whatever. All this Baba might, all these stories that was a kitrug, and again, no one can come along and say he knows the Arcelian, but there's a lot of mysterious things. So whatever. I just want to say that the simcha, there was no real simcha in this issue, because in the end of the day, the victory is a massive victory because of the Rebbe's pain. So there's no question that it's a big victory by Chassidim. But what kind of victory is it to win such a war? You know what I mean? When you're dealing with from the inside and whatever. The bottom line is samach to samach, yeah. But it wasn't. Chassidim definitely are very happy because of the Rebbe's Yisurim that the Rebbe had, and also samach to samach reminds us of Shnas Hakel. But then the one of the that I wanted to, when I was thinking today about Rei Mahuvim, Bashkocha Pratis. So the name of the shul, Rei Mahuvim, beautiful name. One of the oldest shuls in Kreitz. Now, Baruch Hashem, we have like already close to 100 shuls in Kreitz. So this is from the older ones, yeah. I haven't been there for a while, especially not by the renovation. So it reminded me of a story of the Alter Rebbe in connection to Reb Aaron Astrashela. Reb Aaron Astrashela was a chassid of the Alter Rebbe. He was the same age as the Mittler Rebbe, and they were very good friends, and they learned a lot together. He was very, very Makurev. He was almost almost like a child, a kind of, whatever. He was very, very Makurev. He learned with the Mittler Rebbe, and he was... But something happened. I don't know exactly what happened, and something... So one time they were walking together, and they were learning and talking, whatever, and someone was standing next to the Alter Rebbe, and they saw him from the window, and said to the Alter Rebbe, Trein rein deloy misparshin. It's an expression used in Kabbalah also. Two friends that don't separate. They're together. So the Alter Rebbe responded and said, Halavai deloy misparshin. I wish that they wouldn't separate. And a while, I don't know how much later, but there was a time later that there was some type of split, and in the life of the Alter Rebbe, and Aaron Astrashela left Liadi. I think it was already in the Liadi days, and he remained to be a chassid of the Alter Rebbe, but there was the relationship of him and the Mittler Rebbe, something what happened over there. I don't remember exactly. However, after the Alter Rebbe passed away, then there really became the split, because Aaron Astrashela, which was a tzaddik, was a chassid, and he kind of understood that he's supposed to be the successor of the Alter Rebbe, and he opened up his own how do you say, Rebistava, and it wasn't so pleasant, the situation. So they say about a certain chassid, I think maybe Moshe Vilenke, if I'm not making a mistake, that he a lot of big chassidim joined him. He was a massive, he wasn't a simple guy. And one time he was also the opposite of, he was more similar in a way to the Alter Rebbe in his spiders, in his external how you say conduct. So versus the Mittler Rebbe, that was very just the opposite. The Mittler Rebbe was still, didn't move. The Alter Rebbe actually was very active. Different stories. And how he used to have to make a cushion on the walls that the Alter Rebbe should not chas v'shalom hurt himself. The Alter Rebbe used to kaikel zich in middle of Chassidus. He used to, they say that the Chayzer Pinchas Reizes used to roll after behind him to be able to hear the words. Alter Rebbe, someone once asked actually, how comes in Lubavitch? Someone asked the Rebbe once, how comes in Lubavitch? Whatever, there's no real, I don't know exactly what the question was about chuckling or about this type of activity that we find by the Alter Rebbe. So the Rebbe said that the Lubavitch takes from the Mittler Rebbe. The Mittler Rebbe started, the city of Lubavitch starts with the Mittler Rebbe, even though the Alter Rebbe learned in Lubavitch as a child. Whatever, but this Anhoga, we see the Rebbe is very much like the Mittler Rebbe. I mean, not all the Rebbe in between, I don't think they acted like the Alter Rebbe in this issue, but I think the Rebbe is the most similar to the Mittler Rebbe in that detail. However, but Aaron Astrashela was the other style. And he one time, he was saying Chassidus, he got up on the table and he was making Geschäften, and this chassid didn't really like it. So his expression was, Tzaddik, Kodesh, V'tor, Tzaddik, he's holy, he's pure, aber nicht kein Rebbe. He detected in him that he's not a Rebbe. He's a holy, pure person, not a Rebbe. And he kind of left him. My father-in-law, Susha Posner, used to always Farbrengen on this topic, Tzaddik Kodesh V'Torah, that we find that the Rebbe, in very important times, made a very, very strong emphasis on the fact that a Rebbe is, like, for example, there is a famous, it's not exactly a letter, it's like more like, it's printed in Igros Kodesh, but it's more like an introduction to one of the Kuntresim of the Friedrich Rebbe's Marmorim. The Rebbe used to always give out these Marmorim, similar to the Kuntresim that came out of the Rebbe's Marmorim. It used to be Kuntresim of the Friedrich Rebbe's Marmorim, and it came out for a few years before Tafshin and after Tafshin Yud. So the Rebbe would write, like, as a Pesach, as you call an introduction. So the Rebbe would write a whole issue, a whole inyan. It wasn't only technical. So in one of these Kuntresim, and the date is Gimel Tammuz actually of Tafshin Yud, like a few months after the Friedrich Rebbe passed away. So he writes this very famous line that many people are searching, Rabbim Machapsim and Mavarim, and many people are searching to explain about the Rebbe, about the Friedrich Rebbe, and each one catches on to a different aspect. He's an incredible Malmeifus. He can make miracles. A massive genius, a Goyen Adir, a Balmidas Teves, a Tzaddik, and all different things that you can think of. But it's all missing the point. It's a Rebbe, it's a Nasi. There's something it's not this and that. That's not the way to define him. Or take, for example, Simchas Torah, Tafshin Yud Aleph, right? This is still within the first year. So the union of going to shuls to speak chassidus and to Chazaras Daf is something that went on in the Friedrich Rebbe's times. It goes on today very strong, actually. And guys walked, hours to Chazer a little bit of chassidus and Shalosh Shudas and shuls still today. So usually the Rebbe doesn't say what to speak in the shuls, especially the Talucha. Talucha is 3 times a year, everyone goes, but then there's every Shabbos. So by Talucha, the Rebbe usually wouldn't say what to speak. There's always material. And actually the Rebbe, Chelik Aleph Beis Gimel Daled of Likutei Sichos, originally came out that they should be ready, proper material to be able to chazan shuls. That's what he is. So you see that it's all different than the volume 5 and 6 Eivov and further. This is more like drasha style. But the Rebbe wouldn't say l'chatchila, go speak this in the shuls. Very rare. One of the rare times is in the first year, the Rebbe said, go to the shuls and speak in the shuls that what it says in the pasuk is Parshas B'zei Sabracha, right? By Yomas Moshe, that Moshe died. Tell them it's not really that he died. It's only a kasal kadaitach shemes, which means it's only you can think that he died, but he didn't really die. The Rebbe goes on with these lofty expressions that we know the Rebbe is, known for these expressions. All these wild stuff. By the way, when I say the word wild, it's because the Rebbe himself applied on his own words. He not this sikha, but other sikhas throughout that year cycle of Tafshin Yud and Yud Aleph. The Rebbe used expressions that he himself said. Wildereid. Wildereid means like it's wild. Means it's not the standard way of speaking. Statements like unheard of. Yeah. Yeah. The Michtav Klali could be. Yeah. There's a lot of saying Michtav Klali.
I remember when we
Right. The Michtav Klali is officially for the public. But by the way, a side note, the Chlal, this whole concept, people don't pay attention, of addressing a letter, El Bnei Uvnois Yisrael B'chol Makom Shehem, the Rebbe started it immediately, right away, even before he officially took upon himself the Nesias. The Rebbe wrote to Kol Admurim, there's one letter. The Rebbe's approach was, even the Friedrich Rebbe's maximum communal letter is to Anash, B'chol Asar V'Asa, to Lubavitch's, whatever, to address a letter to all Jews around the world, no matter where they are. This is something new that never existed before. That's a side note. So the letters, the sikhs, but here the Rebbe chose to give material what to speak in the shul. Let's think first, and then listen to this. So the Rebbe calls his words wild. Wild means because it's unusual. You don't hear these. So in this sikha, the Rebbe says that what I'm telling you to say, I know that there's a great possibility that it won't be accepted. Lo yiskablu hadvarim. You don't talking in shuls. You're not talking in Chassidish shuls. You're talking about the shuls. What are you telling them? Moshe didn't die, and obviously the Rebbe was applying it to the Friedrich Rebbe. That was the topic. So the Rebbe says, tell them in any case, just like a child in Cheder, you teach children things that are beyond seichel, beyond especially a child can't understand. And when a child asks you questions, what do you tell him? You tell him, "There's an älter is to verstehen. When you'll get older, you understand, right?" The Rebbe over there uses an expression, and nowadays you got to be careful when you say it. The Rebbe says, "We get him a patch." The Rebbe doesn't mean really a patch as a punishment, like I don't know. The Rebbe says that in the Lashon, like you give him like you pat him and you say, "Zren Elter was to verstehen." Why don't you tell him? Why don't you wait because of a Zren Elter? Like nowadays, some people they say, if you make a bris on the child when he's 8 years old, wait till he gets older, then he'll decide if he wants to have a bris. You know, in Yonei Emunah, you tell the child right away. A mushal that's the Rebbe's mushal, but a mushal to the Rebbe's mushal, the Rebbe doesn't say this, is you take a child to a doctor. Most children resist an injection. And if the doctor's a mensch and he has a little bit of patience, he'll try for a minute or two to calm the child down and explain to him. But when a minute or two go by, no matter what, the doctor holds one hand, the parent holds another hand, and we get the shosarain. Could you wait till the child gets older and he'll understand why the shot is good for him? No, you can't do that. You have to give it to him right away. He'll get older, he'll understand that it was good for him. So over here, people talk about, generally when it comes to Mashiach, it's true that Rebbe used the expression because the whole point of Mashiach is that it should be digested. So the Rebbe said, take the material that I'm telling you, which is dynamite, it's called Tayu, and you'll find the way. I give you the koiches, and you'll be able to fit it into people's minds in a way that it should be accepted, right from the Miskabo in their seichel. The Rebbe is giving us a major mission. It's not like, you can't say, I can't do it. The Rebbe says, you can do it. I'm giving you the koiches. But the point is, but over here, the Rebbe didn't even say that. I mean, obviously, it's obvious that you'll try and say it in the best way possible, find the right words, but ultimately, the Rebbe says, I know they won't be accepted, but inject it into them. I always think about this. Read it yourself, you can see it. It's printed. I said to myself, why in the world, the Rebbe, we all know the Rebbe as a very, begashmius, very systematic, very organized, very charismatic, all these ICS that people like to describe the Rebbe as, which is true, it's all true. And the Frierdiker Rebbe Bechlal had a legacy unheard of. Those days in America, the Frierdiker Rebbe was top. Came out of Russia, Mesiras Nefesh, went through the Holocaust. There was so much to talk about the Frierdiker Rebbe. If you want to go and preach about the Frierdiker Rebbe right after he passed away, there was endless material. What does the Rebbe pick? And he doesn't rely on Chassidim that heard of Farbrengen from him. And then they said, maybe we should take this material and find a way to get to, no, the Rebbe says, I'm giving you my shlichus. I want you to tell this to people in the shuls. Let's think for a moment. Why did the Rebbe find it important to say such material that he himself says that it probably won't be accepted, but still injected into them? So, I don't know. I'm just telling you my thoughts. That I think it was important for the Rebbe that the Welt will listen, and Siddim also. A lot of times, they say that someone once asked the Rebbe why he talks. I was just listening the other day. They played the Zeis Chanukah Farbrengen, Tavshim and Vav. The Rebbe spent like almost 45 minutes pouring out his heart about the situation there in Israel with the Baruch Hashem Chaim. Now we kind of on the way with the new government, but the Rebbe was screaming out his heart, and people wanted to. Someone once asked, I think this Geula Cohen was once by the Rebbe Yechidus. She was once a Knesset member. Like, who's the Rebbe talking to? Like, the Rebbe's talking all this stuff, quote unquote, politics, by Farbrengen to Chassidim. So I think the Rebbe said an expression that Halavai was a choplegin by the Chassidim. Ultimately, the Rebbe knows he's talking and he knows the people are listening. And always, all these things, by the way, can always be interpreted and it can be applied. You can learn lessons from these subjects that can be applied also in our Avodas Hashem. Take, for example, I always remember when Pinya Kor, and his beard was sliced, cut. So the Rebbe spoke about the subject a few times when there was a court case going on. So the Rebbe mentioned it, something that they're lying to the judge, whatever. The Rebbe spoke about it. When did the Rebbe speak about it? By a rally. He's talking to kids, to children, the purest people, and he's talking about the worst of worst. And how does it come together? The Rebbe was talking in a language, the Rebbe was talking to the child about his Yitzhahara, and the Rebbe fitted it in. Sometimes you can talk. The Torah can talk about a Gashmistic story and have a lot of meaning. Like that's what the whole Torah is all about. Besides the Gashmistic story, so the Rebbe, getting back to the subject of the Rebbe wants to develop, and also through that the Chassidim should understand that we're dealing over here with an ongoing Moshe Rabbeinu that doesn't die. That's what the Rebbe. It was so important. Some people thought, okay, the best we have is we have two son-in-laws, like what the other son-in-law in the beginning, not about him, but the people around him thought that we're going to just basically split the jobs. We're going to keep the institutions going. We're going to keep his legacy going. And, he'll do this, and he'll make Farbrengens, and he'll run this, and he'll run that, and that. The Rebbe wanted people, and especially, the Friedrich Rebbe's leadership was very chaotic times, very chaotic. 10 years in Russia, busy, barely being able to do his main mission, which is teaching Chassidus. Mamorim is fighting to keep Yiddishkeit on. Then he's 10 years in Poland, where most of the Chassidim that grew up in Russia, the Klal stayed behind. So it's a whole new mentality. Then he comes to America, and there's no Chassidim in America. Now it's a third mentality. The Olam didn't really have. Oh, now we're gonna have Farbrengen, yeah. So
now,
the
what are you doing with the computer?
The Olam
Watching the game?
Yeah. So the Olam didn't really understand what a Rebbe is. They didn't get it. That's why the Rebbe, right after the first Maimah, it's recorded. The Rebbe, when the Maimah was quote unquote official acceptance. That's the way it was those days then. I say those days, I mean because, for example, by the Rebbe Rashab officially didn't take upon himself the leadership fully for 10 years, but Mamorim he said from day one. So, but by the Rebbe, the Maimah was a kind of the definition that Chassidim realized that the Rebbe accepted. So what did the Rebbe say right after the Maimah? The Rebbe says, it's very important, this thing, because this is where it begins, and this is where it kind of ends. Huh? Yeah, the Rebbe says. It's an expression. Listen here, Yidden. He explained that there was the Talmidim of the Magid, all of them had a shita, most, whatever, had an approach that tzaddik b'emunasa yichya, the tzaddik lives with emunah, and as usual in Chazal, there's deeper meaning, additional meaning when you vow the letters differently. So tzaddik b'emunasa al tikri yichya liyichaya. That not only the tzaddik lives with his emunah, but he also gives life to the chassidim through his emunah, which basically, I don't know if they clearly declared that chassidim don't have to do much. That wasn't the point. But the system was that chassidim had to obviously be frum and be connected to the Rebbe through giving pidyon nefesh or whatever they called it, the kvittel and shirayim, whatever it was, and that's it. As the expression goes, no offend. I don't want to offend anyone. Not here, but if you're looking for easy life, go live in Borough Park. Around the Rebbe, you're never going to get easy life, like it says in the Rebbe's capital. Layana v'leishan, doesn't sleep and doesn't let others sleep. The Rebbe is telling Chassidim, he says, in Poland, in the Polish Shita, the Polish Shita applies to all Chassidim but Lubavitch. It's a way of saying it, Poland. Even though you have Galicia and you have this and that, but Polish Chassidim, the Shita was that the tzaddik does, and everyone else kind of has a good time. Says the Rebbe, which basically means stop fantasizing. It ain't going to happen. It's not going to happen over here. You think that you found, I'm saying the Rebbe's words exactly, in Yiddish, it meant as it gefunden einem, or befratas retzach the Rebbe's an Edom. You think you found someone, especially we're talking about the Rebbe's son-in-law, as Everton outside, he's going to do everything for you. When you're having a good time, and you're going to have a good time, the Rebbe uses the word in English, a good time. Yeah, he says, you're having a good time, in English. Ishtachas Gavna, Ishtachas Tenos, everyone will sit under his vineyard, under his fig tree. Sounds nice. And the Chmeinish, the Rebbe says, I don't mean,
sounds nice.
He says, I don't mean, Florida. He says, I don't mean Chas V'Sholem Dvarim HaSurim. I don't mean you're going to do things that are forbidden. But Dvarim HaMutarim, we can have a good time. And the Rebbe the Rebbe would turn out like the Polish that the Rebbe does everything for you. So the Rebbe says again, like the second time, like I'm not taking any shlichus and any missions that the Rebbe Friedrich Rebbe gave. I'm not taking away from you. Momentum with Zogan L'chaim on the tribe and Kvittel, etc., whatever the lashon was over there, and that's it. That's the way the fun life goes. He says it's not going to happen. He says I will help as much as I can, but the transformation of the nefesh habahamis to transform that you're going to have to do yourself. And that's what the Rebbe basically kind of ended off. I mean, the Rebbe didn't end off, but the last sikha that we hear from the Rebbe is, it's about you. It's not about me doing it, because I can do it. The Rebbe doesn't have the problem doing it. The Rebbe says it's jalvanish. That's what the Rebbe said the first sikha. He says, I will not, how do you say jalv in English? I won't be, I'm not cheap. I'll give whatever I can. And like the Rebbe said, if you can turn out so you can't. The sikha tafshin yud and the sikha tafshin aleph. But getting back to the point that I began speaking, I was saying that the Rebbe made it important that Chassidim should understand that it's not a game. It's not a show. It's not like you need a Rebbe, you need like a kind of a figure, and we're going to dance, and we're going to say L'chaim, and it's not a show. And the Rebbe immediately started to pound, demanding, and the Rebbe obviously with all the chesed and the kindness and the support and the help. What did the Rebbe say even before that? The Rebbe already said. The Rebbe said later he said it, but he said it about Yudal Kislev. He says we have a relationship. Yes, I will make you toil. Ich like materin, und ihr wird mir materin. I don't know which one was first. You'll bother me and make me kind of work hard. I don't know the exact English translation. And ich like materin, I will make you work hard, and together we'll produce a geula. So Baruch Hashem, in bothering the Rebbe, we're professionals. That we're doing well. Are we letting the Rebbe bother us? That's the question. We got to let the Rebbe make us work. So it's all about tzaddik. It's not tzaddik kodesh v'torah. The Rebbe's making it, and that's actually what Hey Teves is all about. Hey Teves has a body and a soul. The body of the story, everything has a body and a soul. The body of the story of Hey Teves is took Sfarim, which that alone is nishpashat, because when we say HaTorah medaberes, but Tachtonim and Ramezes Balyonim, when the Torah tells us a story, Yosef and Yehuda and the Shvatim and this, all these stories, they all happened. They all happened exactly the way it says it. But they're all Ramezes Balyonim, they're all metaphorically, it's a real marshal. It's a marshal that happened. But it's coming to tell us all different deep thoughts. Yosef and Yehuda, Yisayim, Malchus, and there's a lot of stuff going on. And it's endless meaning. So the same thing over here. Everything is a body and a soul. You have the chitzonius, you have the external part. That alone is Torah. So when the Rebbe says the Sfarim was stolen, the Sfarim themselves, not because of the value, that the Rebbe never spoke about. That was never the issue. Never. Chas v'sholom. But the Sfarim was so connected to the Friedrich Rebbe, and the Rebbe said a story. I was listening today in one of the groups. Someone was saying, Nemes from Louisiana, he was elaborating on this story that the Rebbe said by the Farbrengen on Teves of Tammuz, that famous Farbrengen when the Rebbe exploded the issue. So the Rebbe then was describing how connected the Friedrich Rebbe was to his Sfarim. So he says a story, which is a quite shocking story. He says that I found out that there was a tzavor. There's a tzavor that the Rebbe Rashab wrote that the Friedrich Rebbe should give to the two son-in-laws certain Sfarim of the Rebbe Rashab. So the Rebbe says, I wasn't ashamed, and I came to collect my stuff. And he says, I don't think that my father-in-law was pleased. Well, the Rebbe said he wasn't sure, but he didn't seem to be. Definitely wasn't pleased. And whatever. And basically, it never happened. He never. Zufrieden ist sicher nicht gewesen. Right. And ich will nicht sagen, dass nicht zufrieden, aber zufrieden ist sicher nicht gewesen. maybe it was also included in the tzavor. I don't know when. Yeah, included. Yeah,
No?
yeah, it could be. Yeah. So, and then the Rebbe continues to explain that it never happened. He never gave the swear. So what does the Rebbe want to bring out of it? He says, obviously, I'm never going to take it to the Torah. So, but the Rebbe, why did the Rebbe say the story? He wanted to describe how the Svarim he was so connected to them that he couldn't depart from it. That was the Rebbe's point, I think, when he said the story.
Well, why,
The Rebbe said,
then that was did that his personal sweater?
it was the Rebbe Rashab Svar.
Yeah, but did that his personal sweater also?
No.
The whole library was
What?
Was it, did that his personal sweater?
That what? That what?
When you don't want to give that away?
That the Frierdiker Rebbe didn't want to give?
Yeah.
We're talking about a few Svarim that the Rebbe Rashab said.
No, but I'm just asking in English because did that said all the sweater, the farm don't believe it belongs to a good sin or not.
Right. You're saying,
I'm asking if it should be there, whatever.
That was personal. That wasn't the, yeah. So, and then the Rebbe said, taking the Svarim, I'm going to say Chabad. What did the Rebbe to say? That the Rebbe and the Svarim belong to the Chassidim, right? So I'm saying.
No, that, I heard they asked Yasser Mikko said from Montreal, he said, what's the Rebbe? What's he own? He has nothing. The Rebbe went to Chassidim, what's he own? It was his house and film. That's what he said. They went by his deposition. They went crazy. They couldn't live.
That's what she said.
That's what he said.
So
We can't trust the internet. The Rebbe said.
so the Rebbe says that the Frierdiker Rebbe taking the Svarim from the Frierdiker Rebbe was like taking out a piece of flesh from his body. So that's the goof of the story. But the deeper point that the Rebbe was suffering over here to give over on the message that this is an eternal. A Rebbe is something eternal. A Rebbe lives forever. There's no such a Matthias. The Rebbe said it in such powerful expressions. He says, no lawyer can change that fact. No Rav can change that fact. As Hu B'chaim. Obviously, the Rebbe was referring to the fact that this is an ongoing. The Rebbe basically prepared the grounds, obviously, for a tkufa that at that time the Rebbe was hoping probably to avoid. But we're now in this tkufa. This is the nisayon that we're having. To have that emunah, this is an ongoing. It's not if it was a technical like if the Rebbe wouldn't have put that emphasis on Moshe Loi Meis and then the Yomas Moshe is only a Kasal Kedaiter, then you would think that the Rebbe is the leader, the son-in-law, and he's running the show and whatever, it lasts as long as it lasts. The chlal, just we always have to address the nefesh. Chaim, right? And Anigan too. Chaim. I just speaking, by the way, you hear on the Good News Svatas that the Rebbe, I don't know if you hear about the Good News, but in the middle of the Nigan, the Rebbe saying L'chaim Levrach, he goes, you hear the Rebbe go, They're singing and they go L'chaim v'livro, L'chaim
You
v'livro.
never what said about you they Teves Farbrengen as opinion altoids,
Yeah,
opinion,
yeah.
you know, Masaki, the time for the level, the way Thomas, you don't come to the Thomas, for the thing, then begin, and that's when they said, in some relation, I think they might have to get the way Thomas.
That's when he passed away that year.
That year?
I think that was the Tafshich of Gimel. I think.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Everything is on audio. I don't know. No,
Yeah.
it's awesome.
Everything.
I don't know, it's not Very often, you couldn't hold that shit.
Ay 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 vida no sa ay 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 vida no sa ay 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 vida no sa ay 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 vida no sa ay 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 mama mama I see bookcases. What about Smarim? Hey, Teves, come on. Yeah. Yeah.
There's a song.
Ah. Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Well, I can't take this.
Those kids became very, very big in the last couple of years. Yeah, it's a big. It became in the last 10 years. It became very big. I saw them all when I walked from Slapping Crown Heights. This afternoon. Now lately less. Ganze Zeit zeg. Wochen gehen. Actually, this Nigan, someone once said, I don't know where this comes from, but someone once said that the Rebbe commented about the Nigan years ago. I have no mocker, I just remember hearing this. A Nigan Anteichen. A Nigan Anteichen. The Nigan doesn't have it. Now it kind of makes sense. Now the Teichen came in. So how the senior did not come in? Interesting. So the word, the phrase did not it's the Gemara. It's a tour. The tour brings what the Gemara say. No. The story that they ever mentioned is Medrash. But basically the tour says about the lulav. By the way, one of the days, in the middle of the court case in Teves, the court case was. By the way, the court case actually by Shlocha Protis started on Yutes Kislev. Yutes Kislev Tavshim Memvav. It started and it lasted till Ches Teves, I think. So one of those days, they never walked out with his lulav. Officially, what was the reason why he walked out with it? He took it out from his room to the library. I don't know what the official reason was. Like, basically the lulav he burned later by Chometz, I think. Did they ever bring the lulav to Chometz? I'm not sure. Yeah? I'm not sure. But some people burned it with the Chometz. Why did he take it then? I don't know what the official reason is. But you could definitely be mefarish because it says in Tur that it's a in Tur, Tommy, that would say it? Die dan met schijl, huh? Inun, whatever. But it says that you go out with a lulav, it's a kind of representing on Sukkot that we won the court case on Rosh Hashanah. So that's where I don't know if that's the original place, whatever. So then in the Rebbe's Michtavim, maybe the previous Rebbe more so, you find that expression kind of once in a while. And I think my Zayda has one of these letters about a certain issue that he had about getting papers to go to Morocco. So the Rebbe writes, "Did not such stuff of yet?
No, but
Did not?
Never wrote the whole story. How they let
Wait, no, that's your base Teves, yeah. I'm just saying that came later. So the Didan Notzach is used, a phrase used in Igros Kodesh throughout the years, the phrase. So basically, in Tavshim Memvav, in the middle of the court case, Kinnis HaShluchim time, before the court case, I think Shlomo Kuhn was the one that kind of, brought up, connected it to this matzav. So then I remember then that by Kinnis HaShluchim, it wasn't in a big group, it was in Memvav. And Shalom Poizner, my wife's grandfather, he was like the old shliach, put him up on someone's shoulders, and he screamed out 3 times, Didan Notzach, but it never nigging yet. It never nigging. This is Kinnis HaShluchim. Then in Kislev and Vav, the Rebbe was talking a lot about Simcha. I remember then as Bachrim, we used to try to make dances Friday night. The Rebbe was talking a lot about Simcha. And I remember once we were sitting by one of these Farbrengens upstairs in the Zal, and we're discussing that we gotta make Simcha. How do we do Simcha? You gotta dance. Dancing wasn't so common those days like now. So, and you sound crazy. You come Friday night, you start dancing, 10 guys, everyone thinks you're crazy. So we said, it's okay, we're going to call ourselves Vada Meshubayim. Okay. One of the Vada Meshubayim was Mendy Sharstein. I wish he was Meshuga today also. So one time there was a dance going on. The Rebbe wasn't in his room, but there was a dance going on one of the days of Kislev, in the middle of the Mishpat. It was going on, with the magnet. 20 guys dancing like for an hour. And suddenly one of them in the dance was that music. It was like very Lebanese, but 20 Bachim. And one of the Nigunim was like, yeah. And Beryl Lazar, as far as I remember, he was the one that suddenly popped into the Notzach. I think it was spontaneous. Spontaneously, he popped it in. Like you connect to Chiyamelech to every nigga, Notzach came in. And that's how the nigga became. But what's miyuchad about this nigga is that in the mems, even the laments, you don't find so much the Rebbe, you don't hear the Rebbe singing by the Farbrengens. All the tapes are from the Yuds and the Chofs, right? The Rebbe began a few nigunim, yet always, but you hear Yud Shvat, I think, Yud Shvat Mem Zayin, after Hey Teves, you hear by the Farbrengen, the singing Didan Notzach, by the end of the Farbrengen, whatever, and you hear the Rebbe go, Didan Notzach, you hear it once, you hear. Then came, after that, Didan Notzach became the theme. Then, by Didan Notzach itself, Hey Teves, so as a kid, to say how did the dancing, it wasn't planned to be 7 days, there was no plan. What happened? Basically, the Rebbe everyone was so excited that the Rebbe, those days, the Rebbe didn't daven downstairs, right? All davening was upstairs, except Hanukkah and Shabbos Yom Tov, Huh? Yeah, but I'm saying the davening was not downstairs. Yeah. So Label asked, I guess whoever was told Label asked the Rebbe if he could agree to daven downstairs. The Rebbe agreed. The Rebbe came down for Mincha. That was a big stur. The Rebbe was davening downstairs, 8 Teves, in the middle of a Tuesday.
No, but the platform was up already. So how they said it, they built it.
You know what? I can't think about it because it was there by Oifen Kavua.
It used to only be to Tishrei, then they put it out.
Right.
It was up, I think.
Oifen Kavua, by the way, only Tafshin Nun. But it was maybe they put it up quickly. I'm not sure. It was Daka there.
It was up.
Huh? Yeah, definitely was there. So and then in the middle of Ashrei, the Rebbe turned around and asked Label for Chumash. So right away, he ran, took a shul Chumash, whatever, and the Rebbe was looking in the Chumash throughout davening, and everyone, it's probably going to be a sikha. In Kachava, there was a sikha. The Rebbe spoke about the chitas, the B'tchiro Yaakov Avim, and spoke about whatever. So that obviously fled up the simcha, the dancing that was going on from 11 o'clock to 3 o'clock. There was always a potential of the dancing kind of, how much can you dance, So, but sikha, so the dancing continued. I already don't remember so much. I was already somewhere else.
Too much water?
The kids out. The dancing went till Ma'ariv, and then it continued. And then I for sure wasn't there. Mincha, I remember barely, a bissel. But at Ma'ariv, I woke up again. But by night, I already wasn't there. But I understand that there was a kind of an official. The dancing was throughout the day, and by night was like a Farbrengen. The next day, 770 was a ghost town, but I was around because I slept through the whole night. And I woke up in the morning and I threw up the vodka, no fabison. I could have re-drank it. It was white. I remember then, like I'm sugar. I didn't know the rules. I didn't know the rules. You hear? what do you take after mashke? My Zayda knew. You take oil, you drink oil. But I didn't know that. So I went to Lipska, took a, yeah. I went to Lipska in the morning. I woke up 9 in the morning. I threw up with mashke, and I go to Hirsch Lipska's chocolate store, and I was looking for something sweet. I needed something sweet. So I bought a bottle of apple juice and orange juice. And I went to 1414. I took a few drinks, and then Schang gave me some, yeah, strong, whatever. I come 770 basically was a kind of dead. Then in the afternoon, the Rebbe went to the oil Wednesday. That's Vav Teves. So, which wasn't a regular day, obviously. The Rebbe went to the oil every day in the time of the court case itself. Every day, Sunday to Friday, for 3 weeks. But this is not a regular day. The Rebbe didn't go to the oil then. For Vav Teves, the Rebbe went to the oil. And then the Rebbe came back. And I understand that someone told, then people were starting to come back to 770. But basically the story was a kind of over. So someone, I think, asked Label to ask the Rebbe if he'll daven downstairs. So Label says, he says, the seller's party's over. Like, why should I ask the Rebbe downstairs? He didn't ask the Rebbe. And the Rebbe davened downstairs. And then what happened after Ma'ariv, after Mincha? Then Mincha Ma'ariv was already together. Imam Vov, Imam Zion. After Ma'ariv, Mincha Ma'ariv, because it used to be separate Mincha Ma'ariv, but then it became together. So the Rebbe turned around and started to say Sikha upstairs, which is extremely unusual. And the first few words are not recorded. Right away, someone Ganyaki came with it. What was the Sikha? The Sikha was that to Eis Ratzon, I mean, the Rebbe didn't say the word Eis Ratzon came later, but the Rebbe said that it was all given. Suddenly the Rebbe talked about Maglis to give tzedakah, and then it was came beschreiben Shmei v'Shem Imai, like some kind of standard what the Rebbe would say by Farbrengen. And then the Rebbe said we can schreiben was me will, because Sai wird mir das nicht lehnen. So kind of the Rebbe saying you don't have to be. The Rebbe said not to get shemen. You can write whatever you want because I'm not going to read it anyway. Like who cares? The Rebbe's not going to read it. And the Rebbe said, and the Rebbe said, then you don't have to even send it over here, because wherever there's a Beis HaChaim with a tzaddik, and then the Rebbe I think said, Morris of Achpelah came with Rachel, but obviously everyone sent it to the Rebbe. So after such a sikha, it was like a kind of a short sikha. So then the Eilat Matan gave him, they felt that something's going on. So we started to say L'chaim again. And I remember there used to be upstairs in 770, nowadays it's room 302. Jem had a conference room where they had like 20 phones that they used to answer when people used to call in from the Farbrengens, the cable television Farbrengens, call in to get a holiday guide, whatever. So they had a whole bunch of people sitting on the phones answering the phones in the middle of the Farbrengen. So those phones, I remember them, were used to call the whole world. Now in Europe, for example, it's 2 o'clock. In Eretz Yisrael, it was already 4 o'clock in the morning. We were calling the whole world. I remember calling up different places, a whole bunch of bachrim. You wake up people in the middle of the night, they have exact chicken zettlech, and everyone got excited. And there was only 2 fax machines in the whole Crown Heights those days. And the fax machines were flowing with paper. People were sending from all over the world. And you're talking about less than 24 hours. When the Rebbe went to the oil, the next day again, Zion, Teves, the Rebbe went with 9 bags, when usually the Rebbe goes with one bag. They say, someone said, that the Rebbe went with 9 bags, he came back with 7. So some shaita said, I hope Mike Settle went to the oil. and then the Rebbe comes back from the oil, and then Mincha Ma'ariv was downstairs. So the celebration is a kind of beating up. The Vav Teves after that Sikha, the Eilam had getanzt. There was Lebedik. And then the Rebbe comes back and there's another Sikha, and Thursday night was dancing, and this goes into Asar Teves on Sunday morning.
What happened then?
So a few people managed to mess up the how you say, mess up the.
They had breakfast. They had breakfast.
Ruin the party.
Huh?
Ruin
the party.
They had breakfast.
But so this is what I wanted to get to. So Yud Beis Teves, the Rebbe spoke sharp, and the Rebbe says, "Didan Notzach, Zicher darf man gedenken as Didan is the Rebbe the Shver, and you can't just do whatever you want." You know, the Rebbe spoke very, and then the Rebbe said, "Now a kind of celebration over, learning, and there's going to be beginners and so on." So, but in that same Zicher that the Rebbe kind of stopped it, obviously it had to come to an end. The Rebbe then gave that was the first time the Rebbe gave such validity to the end of Hey Teves. First of all, the Rebbe used the expression in Smuga, Shivas Yimei HaHekef, the Didan Notzach, or Hey Teves. The Rebbe gave it, he categorized it. He called it the 7 Shivas Yimei HaHekev. So that was a very strong point. And then the Rebbe brought that medrash. But the Rebbe gave the whole story of the Danotzach, that it came, the story is that there was a certain Tana that used to sit and learn near a certain river, and a Ruach, a good spirit came to him and told him that you should know that there's a Ruach Ra that wants to settle over here and to cause harm to the city. So Mela tell all the people from the city to come together tomorrow at this time, and they should come with the noisemakers, whatever, pots and pans or whatever, anything that can make noise, and they should all say Didan Notzach, Didan Notzach. And then they saw suddenly a drop of blood float on the water, and they knew that they took out the chayas, whatever. So they never brought the story in, but the Rebbe's message was the Muhammad, the Yitzhak, the Yitzhahara. And the bottom line is we have to remember that the major issue that's Ma'aser V'Poel. We got to talk Ma'aser. We can say a lot of Ma'ases, but Ma'aser V'Poel. That's the Rebbe's line is a Ma'aser Hu'ika.
The part of the plaza.
The part of the placha, a Ma'aser Hu'ika. The Rebbe never missed Teves Farbrengen to say that. That from one side, we learn about the Shvatim. It says that the Ma'aser Genusim at the Lemit Shvachim. The Ma'aser of the Shvatim was because they were not echad b'peh echad b'leiv. They were no monkey business. What they had not. But a lot of times I try to say that we should use it in the opposite way. That to the Eibishter that we have an ein sprach and zwischen sich that we have an andere sprach. To the Eibishter we have to say, cut it out. It's enough. Stop expecting more. But zwischen sich kavayachol the Eibishter is only 10. But that always gets. He's always got the technology to hear. But zwischen sich geret. The Rebbe in Chavches Nissen, he demanded something that's doable because the Rebbe that emes that explains why Yaakov lemeis. By the way, the word emes Yaakov is the oisius of Yaakov lemeis. Emes Yaakov oisius like it's written in Sfarim. And the reason why Moshe lemeis is because the Rebbe explains in the Sikha Shmois, is because they are emes. Chas v'shalom, not that Avraham Yitzchak is not emes, but the real emes, which is eternal. Emes is something that's through and through. Real emes lamite, emes, like the Rambam writes, emes kamitose. That's something that's through and through, and that's why it penetrates even into the body. That's why Yaakov lemeis, the goof. Other tzaddikim machai also alive. But the meis beguf is dafke by Yaakov. That's how the Rebbe also, by the way, explains that some Mefarshim that try to explain the Gemara in Tainis, that the Gemara is trying to answer that it's Beruchnius. So the Rebbe says, if it's Beruchnius, so then what's Avraham and Yitzchak? Well, they're not like Beruchnius. The Gemara asks, how could you say that Yaakov lemeis chanta chantaya cover nayu v'samtus nayu? They buried him and they embalmed him and they eulogized him, and you're saying he's alive? So the Gemara answers, Mikra Nidayesh, I don't know what you're talking about. The Gemara, maybe Eischa Vazaram, Shivyam, and Makishu Vazarim, Mazari B'chaim, Afu B'chaim. So, what does that mean? So, some Mefarshim, not too many, they say that the Gemara is trying to tell you, we mean.
Not a shame.
I think even the Marshal, I'm not sure. Whatever. Rashi, however, twice in the same Gemara, he emphasizes Chayhu aval nidma lehem kemes. And Rashi I think writes Chay b'guf aval nidma lehem kemes. Akash of the Eibishter, whenever.
The Rebbe says about the Rebbe used to come to Kiddush.
Yeah.
Because he had the Yitzhak.
Yeah. I tell people if this issue comes to discussion, unfortunately, in the last couple of years, people don't even talk about it. People don't care anymore. But when it comes to discussion, I say like this: look, if you believe that the Eibishter is a Kol Yachol, then 98 or 99% of the argument is done. The only question is why I say it about the Rebbe and I don't say it about my grandfather. Oh, no, that's the whole kasha. Say that we'll deal with that kasha. Why Dafka the Rebbe is the one, but the Eibishter can do it. If you believe in the Gemara that the Yehuda Nasi came back in the body, what can't they? Some people ask. Some people ask, Chiyas Mason, they say, they don't think about Chiyas Mason. They say, where's everyone going to live? Where's everyone going to live? So I say, if the Abishter can do this, so they said he can hire a construction company and it'll build an extension to the world. Like it's like saying the Abishter he can split the Yams of 2 miles, but not 15 miles. Come on, what can the Abishter do? So he can make the Yehuda Nasi come back in a body. Begashmis mamash. He cannot make the Yaakov Avinu. By the way, that's the easy job for the Abishter. The Yaakov Avinu is
You
taka.
like him. You like that.
He's
What's up with it? Oh, yeah.
What's so hard? It's not even such a big miracle. It says in the Mefarshim. Some Mefarshim describe it in a very, very graphic way. They say, Nigla. Nigla, yeah. Yeah, there's some Mefarshim that say that Yaakov was like he fainted. He was like he fainted. That's when he thought he was not alive. Okay. Whatever. The Orach Chaim HaKadosh actually brings a halachic question. He says, how was Yosef able to kiss him? Not allowed to kiss a dead person. Whatever. A lot of Mefarshim discuss it, but the problem that people have usually is not. Unfortunately, if they'll check themselves, they'll see that the problem is not the surrounding. The problem is more in the core. They have a problem believing that the Eibush is a Kil Yachol. But then when they wake up, they say, 1 second, no, the Eibush is a Kil Yachol. So what's the big deal? The question is why we apply it over here about Yaakov and about Moshe, and not about Avraham, or not about the Baal Shem Tov. Okay, that's a legitimate question. We'll discuss it. Because with the Rebbe is Nasi Derachim, the Rebbe is...
The biggest problem is they don't verbrengen. You know verbrengen, there's no roughness. It's alles Gashmus. Without verbrengen, verbrengen is down. That's the only way, there's only hope.
Chaim.
Chaim, bro, different questions. What's that one?
You make... Yeah. Look at it. You know what? You know why I'm jealous, Barkley? You know I'm jealous about you?
My hair.
No, not your money.
My hair. No, my hair.
The amount of chassidus that you learn. I think you learn.
I know. I'm a faker. I'm a faker just like example. I want to take one thing. One time,
Say from my Yiddish.
Learning it?
I did my other. You got to find me after what I know about.
By the way, there's a mimer in Sefer Mam Yiddish. Not that I learned the Sefer Mam Yiddish, but I happen to know someone once pointed out somewhere about Purim, where the Frierdiker Rebbe gives a description of how the even Gedolei Yisrael in the times of Mordechai were kind of mocking him. They kind of
Mashiach. They didn't want to talk about Mashiach.
Yeah. That's what the Frierdiker Rebbe was referring to then, because then was the time the Frierdiker Rebbe was talking about Mashiach.
Mashiach will come to our Farbrengen. Komt to David Shachas, no one's there. What's the Farbrengen?
So the point that I want to make is that Yaakov Lemeis, the Rebbe explains, because Yaakov is Midas Emes, and Emes is eternal. That's the Emes the Rebbe is asking for in Chavches Nissen. Now, from one side, the Rebbe is asking for something. Chavches Nissen and Teves is all connected. From one side, the Rebbe is asking for something that's so hard, that the Rebbe is a kind of saying 1, 2, 3. On the other hand, the Rebbe never asks something that cannot be done. That's one of the Rebbe's strongest lines. The Einem Mevakish Lefi Kaycher Lefi Kaychan. But he's asking for something that could be done, but it's not an easy thing, and that's where we're stuck, because everyone has an agenda. That's the problem. You know, my father-in-law used to say, "Don't Rebbe me, because I'll Rebbe you." You know what I mean? Everyone has the Rebbe on his side. What comes first? Me. My way of understanding comes first, and then the Rebbe has to fit to my understanding. That's the problem that we all have. We have to. It's about doing. The Rebbe once told the Chassid. I can say his name. It's not Ben Shem Tov. Yeah. He's my uncle.
Oh, all right. That's what I meant.
But listen, people. He was a Kanai, whatever it is. But he was no one argues. No one argues the fact. Now the reason I want to say why I'm saying his name. No one argues the fact that he was a big guy. The Frierdiker Rebbe testified to him. A printed sikha that he's never. But nevertheless, there's something the Rebbe tells him in Purim Tavshin Chai, that famous Farbrengen. Ben Tishem Tos Zongel Chaim is only been told me by Mikum Tos. It's only been told me by Mikum Tos. Battle of Ritzayim Mipnei Ritzayni. So whatever the Pshuta Shalmikra was and what the Rebbe was referring to, I don't know exactly. But there's a few letters in English Kodesh, for example. His shlichus was London, England. But nevertheless, his Bren, Koch for the Rebbe, took him to places where the Rebbe writes to him in English Kurdish once or twice. I've seen it. Was tust du dort and Schlichus is dort. Yeah? Obviously, it was Chassidish, it was a Bren, he was fastened the Rebbe, he was doing Shichus and everything, whatever it is. But the lesson that we can take from this Likud is there's two parts to everything. There's Tom was the Rebbe will, and there's Tom V the Rebbe will. You know, unfortunately, on the side that I call the right side, again, everyone always thinks that he's okay, but you know, the easiest of Vedas is always to see on the other person. But I'm talking about even on the right side, which I feel part of the right side. You have, for example, people that do things. I don't call it extremism because extremism is not a negative thing. The Rebbe is an extremist. I created a new word in English. Extremism.
Who? What?
Extremism. Kolamoisiv Gereya. Things that are just ibrik.
Extremism. Oh, you got it. Extremism.
The word is.
I'm gonna use that. Can I use the word? Extremism. I made a new word. Minimalism.
My word. I put it in the dictionary.
You're woke.
So sometimes there's things that are just miyut to the ibrik. But where's it coming from? It's this. You know, everything is many levels. You have small, medium, large, and you have many levels. The Nakuda is that we all have an agenda. We all have our personal agenda. And the Rebbe needs people, 1, 2, 3, a million, to
Soldiers.
to when the Rebbe talks about there's a sikha, when the Rebbe talks about the Mittler Rebbe being passing away the same day he was born, so he brings the Maimon Chazal, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu makes the cycle of Tzaddikim's life around. The Rebbe says, what is this all about? Is this a childish thing? Well, why does a tzaddik's life have to be a full cycle? So the Rebbe explains that the shleimus of a tzaddik with Gashmias, in his Gashmiastic life, is greater because that shows that his ruchnias penetrates the Gashmias. And then the Rebbe goes into a whole sikha explaining how we have to unite ruchnias and Gashmias to such a degree that there's no difference. So the Rebbe starts off saying, first you make the Gashmias tough, secondary. Then you make the Gashmias a keli for Lakus. Until you make the Gashmias become that you can't see the difference. The word over here is to reach the point, where there's no Metzias Latzmai. And it sounds like very lofty levels, but the Rebbe claims that we are able to reach that. When a person has managed to take away his whole Metzias and his whole focus is on the Rebbe, the Eibishter, that's the point that we have to reach. Can it be that no one can do it? Then the Rebbe would have never demanded. To accuse the Rebbe that he's demanding from us something that we're not able to do is the worst thing that we can do to the Rebbe. The Rebbe talks every thousands of times in English Kodesh, every third page. It's the Rebbe's strongest thing. And now the Rebbe is going to be accused that he's asking us to do something that we can't do. Doesn't make sense.
I'm over Teves Farbrengen, my fifth Rebbe, in fact, what's the thing for money? What's money to Rebbe? Because money is the keches. As ich money is the keches. As after Rebbe money from there, make it the keches. That's actually not shaykh. That's not shaykh. But the Rebbe money, yes, Mr. Shaykh.
Right.
That's what the Rebbe. That is like asking you to do something you're the best capable. You're not capable, but I'm asking you now. You're capable to do it. You mean he's making you
now you became capable.
Transforming.
Now you became capable.
I'm going to add a word to the dictionary.
Yeah, when the Rebbe says transforming is not a new word.
For me, it's a new word. But the thing is like this. What you have to tell on the 11 months, life from I stopped learning the Rambam because of 3 Rambam. I said, Rebbe, if you asked me one page Rambam, I would have done it for a couple of years. If you asked me Rambam, I didn't do it for 3 months. Why did I say? I said, I don't want to talk about it, I don't want to do it. So I said, someone told me, when I read Rambam, I said, listen to me. Because chutzpah awesome to use the word Rambam and reading. Mela, you use Tillim, I read Tillim Mela. There's no understands Tillim, but Rambam, there's no word to read. They said, I'm reading Rambam, I think that's not you to read Rambam. But no, you're wrong. I said, you know what? How do you say that in England? So So I said, I am not learning them, but then I started learning Rambam, and I said, if you want to do it, you can do it. And I'm enchanted. And what?
You know, I saw a letter in English Kurdish yesterday. Unbelievable. First of all, on Zeis Chanukah, yeah, they played in 770 for bringing Zeis Chanukah involved. This is, by the way, a side note that I want to be aware of something that I think is very important. Ever since Gimel Tammuz, yeah, it's been organized, it's ongoing since Gimel Tammuz, that they play in 770. In the beginning, it used to be 5-6 times a year. Now they started to make it a little more often. They play, now they do a mamash whenever there's a video for bringing. Ultimately, you only have 10 years worth of videos, you know, more or less. But they play a Farbrengen, a full Farbrengen in 770. I personally undertook, I feel a pleasure begashmis also. First of all, when you're in a house, I'm never going to look at a sikha more than 10-15 minutes. It just doesn't work. You always, when I go to 770, Yutis Kislev was Chanukah, I drove to 770, I stand there for whatever, it's a 2-hour Farbrengen. Yutis Kislev this year, they played
5 hours.
5 hours.
5 hours, 4 minutes.
5 hours. That's a long Farbrengen. So first of all, the Gashmis, that's like a way that you can kind of disconnect. And I say to myself, I don't understand. Every average Lubavitcher Chassid, I would say 90%, maybe more. When they ever Farbrengt, there was, I don't know, Lamdim, workers, they always stated, everyone came to Farbrengen. Every normal Lubavitcher Chassid came to Farbrengen. There was you don't come to Farbrengen. So what's now? Chayte Niska. Now that we've got the Rebbe out of the picture, Chas V'Shalom, Kaviyachol. So now Niska. Yeah, throw me.
No, it's only the second floor.
So now we're busy with good stuff. I assume so. It doesn't make sense. I don't understand why the place is not jam packed. Are you just Kislev? Are you Schwab? So it's
What?
What?
Go to Farbrengen about 12 o'clock at night.
That's a different thing. That's a different thing. Different thing. And besides the fact, there's also benefits. We got you hear from bringing, you hear in Yon, whatever it is. I'm just saying, I don't know. But I mean, I'm not going to say everyone has his own hergish. I'm not going to say my hergish has to be everyone's hergish. That's not a way. But out of all hergeshim, it seems to be that this is like a solid. Well, take for example 130. You know, I don't know. I also people that there's a lot of shuls in Crown Heights, which they never wanted these shuls to close. I don't know about the new shuls that opened up. They also have milas. It keeps the chevra together. But you know the story. Once they wanted to burn all the shuls, a wildkeit, you know that.
Say.
Whatever.
Interesting part.
But the island of Wissen that not to forget that 770 is Mokim Mikdash. I just think the people that should be an Indian that Cholapach Zay Malach Chodesh on davening 770, or at least not davening, at least 1:30. If you think yourself, they're ever making a Farbrengen every week. First of all, from Mem Aleph, from Hakel, from Mem Aleph, they ever kind of already made 70%, 80% of the year was a Farbrengen. Then after Tavshim Mem Ches, after the Shloshim, after the Rebbe started every week. You should know that it's a lot of Mesiras Nefesh on the Rebbe's part to take away from the Olam in the winter. There was no Shabbos afternoon meal at all, right? And the Rebbe did it in any case. In Tavshin Chafei, they say the Rebbe tried it, but he did it. Chafei, he did it, but he didn't continue Chavav. And women complained. But the women changed. Now the men complain, not the women.
If you had an Enoch, there would be that.
But so the Rebbe went ahead. Listen to this. The Rebbe's Moshe Nefesh, and he makes Farbrengen every Shabbos in the winter till Shkia, till after Shkia. And now, so I'm saying, out of all things, the Chura 1:30 should have been a time. It's a Mokim Kodesh, it's a Zman Kodesh. In any case, everyone needs a Kriyas Itim. So what better Kriyas Itim could there be than coming 1:30? I'm not talking about the Chitzegis Diki Yonim. That's already, but to come 1:30, you stand in 770. I personally, whenever I'm in Crown Heights, PM. Whenever I'm in Crown Heights, I won't go anywhere. Even my own kiddushim of my own children's ufruf, even in the winter, till 3 o'clock, I'm not coming. I'm one till around 3, which is an average of the short Farbrengen. So you know, average.
Salmon 1:30. Most people finish in town.
What?
1:30.
So then
That's not true.
then it's gonna be mitzvah gereres mitzvah. People will start davening 10 o'clock.
He said that kiddush at 1 o'clock, so they have a kiddush. Yeah.
It starts 12:30, what's 1:30?
Okay, well,
Most schools that I know of.
They start at 11 o'clock today.
but especially, I'm just saying, especially,
At 12:30
11 o'clock they start.
at 12:30 breakfast.
obviously, it should be became the tikkun. The wife should agree. I'm not gonna come and say, go,
Now, anything you say is
Now
recorded.
you're
Be
asking for a
careful.
lot.
I never say things that can't be recorded.
Zalman, that's why we want to know that Zalman. Because Zalman is Zalman and everything because show your computer. Now we want to know the Zalman. You're a YouTube Zalman or you're an awesome Zalman and then you're Keller.
The case we should be zeichen the Terech Hadosh Miti Teitzei. We shouldn't need to convince our
We
Yitzhara.
should learn it. We should learn it. The heaven is up. I decided it's our slavery is our slavery. I'm going to say to Zalman, I like to say first letter. And they should see you at 1 o'clock, 1:30 p.m. to write the house me to save it. That's not a minister. House me to
The kid said, this is the derech. What's the sefer that the Rebbe gave out Beis Kislev? Derech Emunah.
Yeah.
The derech is Emunah, and Hey Teves teaches us as a Frana Rebbe. It's a living Rebbe. It's not a legacy, Chas v'shalom. It's a living Rebbe.
I can't
It's like John Vito with the music in the background, you know? Same idea. Yeah.
What is the song that Rabbi White?
Ich habe es hart zu knicken.
No.
Der sagt mein Ding. Tell you Australia about the Farbrengen. Tell you Australia. He's on the group. He's on the group.
want to ask you a question. I really want to ask you a question.
Oh, yeah.
We haven't said that the Rebbe is the Rebbe is Chassidus. Wie du bist ein normaler Mensch im Flabisch, weil beide schicken die Flabisch. Wie verstehst du, einer Mensch, Rebbe, und will zu ziehen?
But I also don't understand. I would think the Chassidim belong to them.
You know, everything starts in that. Well, the Rebbe belongs to Chassidus,
Okay. Ich will eigentlich machen, nicht mit mir machen. Und zusammen, wenn wir machen, it's one.
I know, but we mean the Rebbe's coat.
The Rebbe's
pen is the Parker pen.
The Rebbe's life is for Chassidim, and Chassidim's life is for the Rebbe. It's a two-way street. It's a two-way street.
That's the more. No, I mean because in Gashmis, in early of Gashmis, what they said makes more sense. What just what we say doesn't make more sense. Am I talking like the Seichel Nushim?
Actually, no. Why would it make sense? Why would the Frierdiker Rebbe, what the Frierdiker Rebbe is collecting wealth to give to some, by the way.
What about his coat? What about his table?
Huh?
What about the Rebbe's table? What about the Rebbe's shop? The Rebbe's pens? He had a coat, what is what about what they call it? What they call the valise? The Samsonite. That belonged to who? The Simosite? No, the Rebbe's guy. I heard that Minkowitz in Montreal said they asked by deposition of the Rebbe, and he goes, "What's the Rebbe own? This is Tassatul. What do you find on? This is Tassatul." They couldn't believe it.
But also, there's another likud that the Rebbe said that there's no Indian of Yerusha. There's no Yerusha because the Rebbe's alive. There's no Yerusha.
But that was important to him.
I don't know if that was in court. That's what the Rebbe said about the Sikha. I'm not sure.
That was the gun that ever took.
Also,
No, after that-
also they have a letter from the Rebbe saying that these letters.
Yeah, but that's not the same
The
guard.
letter that the Rebbe wrote.
Yeah, and they asked for the scarf, but
They
the
put the scarf in Poland in the embassy.
Yeah.
That was one of the main things. The Rebbe said, that's
Right.
exactly.
Yeah, that's what the Rebbe wanted, and they didn't think that would work.
But also, but the deposition was that this idea that a Rebbe, the truth is Rebbe spoke about this before. In Tasha Chavtes, so this was a Taylor, there was a Mimer. It feels odd, this is Mimer, it's a famous Mimer. It's a look at hay. And he said that it's found Moshe Rabbeinu. He asked, how's the Shia that is a hook by Moshe? He shut that
I don't know.
Okay, you know how? I'll show you.
I didn't put it on.
So he said, so how's it a hook? Moshe, he knows it kind of hook him. So I need a gala kind of hook him. So how can you be a gala? How can you have a hook? How can Moshe have a hook? This hook's up there. So mainly by Yidden's a hook, you don't understand it. You understand it. How can you have, meaning your mila is pushing your son. Your mila is that you understand everything. So it's by din it's a son that's felt by din to do a mitzvah as a hook.
That's what the Rebbe asked.
And
No, because the Rebbe always explains that Nimishpatim Yavchukim, and there's always a higher.
But as I remember as I Chavtes. In the Boyle, the Rebbe says like this. The exact question is, doesn't make a difference. But in the Boyle, the Rebbe says like this. It's translate the Moshe, you have to split it half. The Kravat mentioned Moshe.
Say it in the Rebbe's lashon.
Of course, it's a Rebbe. He says it's fun saying that. He says in Moshe's fun says two parts. Moshe the Kravat the Yid, so the Muchut. You had to go to Midian, so you had to get Muchut. And there's a Moshe Rabbeinu, and even though he didn't want to be that Moshe Rabbeinu, but he was. I'm going to design Moshe, and his whole identity, the Ikar identity of Moshe is Klal Yisrael. He has no other identity. The fact of Moshe is not important because his identity is Yidden. And the Yes Yidden is felt by Yidden, the Ingen from Hashem, right? It's from Mayim Eichel. So that's what, so this is normal, this is like normal. No, realize what I'm, Christian, I'm not saying it's normal, I'm saying this, what this argument that was put forth is not a Veltisha argument. It's a argument of part of, as I mentioned, Rabbeinu, and the Rabbeinu Chassidic, the Siyach Chabad. You know,
That's why, by the way.
In Pesach Tetzvav, after Pesach Tetzvav, the Rebbe says that the ganze Welt weiß the Eberstein von Welt. Abraham behinkert beide. Von was von Welt? He looked at Welt and behinkert beide. So everyone, the Welt is like Alan. Yeah, Abraham is Welt of Pshitas. And the Galakite is so the Eberstein is the Schachos. About part of Zaynita. Moshe Rabbeinu, and the Rebbe says call the Siyach Chabad. So this is this argument, meaning you couldn't say this about a different Rebbe, Belzer Rebbe, it's not shy to say this argument. But this argument is, and that is a
But you see, the Rebbe proved that you can take this and you can penetrate in the world. That's why the Rebbe gave such a it was so important for the Rebbe to say La'ini Kol Amim, like the Alter Rebbe said, that you could take Ruchnis Dikin Yonim and you can.
that Ruchnis is Gavin. It's not
No, said, I feel the
Ruchnis is the
judge.
This is
He
Gavin.
understood what it means to that.
Yeah.
That was the whole idea. That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
And the guy understood and understood what it means. It's kashrus. They used it. That's what you were saying yesterday.
Yeah,
They
big things, right.
used the words.
Right, I learned it's great.
Mind word. They're using these words in the
Right.
court. They explain what it is, and once they explain,
It's very significant with
They use
that.
those words.
Because
They
even
make
if
it
you talk to a normal person, they can't understand. It's impossible to remember.
That was the whole idea.
No, it's impossible that a normal person makes sense. That makes sense to me. I mean, if you talk to me like the guy that this is normal, like whatever.
Being in Ache, if someone to say we sang the Nigan Ache Lakim, so the beautiful story about this Nigan. You know, the first Yidal of this Nigan is Betzim Kiel Lakim B'Shietzian, right? And Bechlal, Chassidim got used to the Nigan of the year. From Tafshin Tezayim,
Yeah.
the Rebbe told Darkei Chalakenu, so he went the Nigan of the year. Then there was a Hefsik, the Rebbe stopped Chav Daled, and then somehow, whatever, I don't know, it was Ramachan, whatever, they started Kiel Lakim. So I happen to remember that was the first kapitel that I remember saying for the Rebbe, Samach Tes. So, so Be'etzim, that's not the first Yidal of Nissen again. Achel Lakim, the first one that was kind of put together, especially with Kav Yidal of Nissen. But Tafshin Chav Daled, Taka the same year that the Rebbe, last year the Rebbe taught the Nigan, Yud Shvat Tafshin Chav Daled, it's on tape, very interesting. I once heard it. The Rebbe says, it's a pelle as keiner nicht gehabt sich singen the Machle Lakim. That was the Rebbe's kapitel of that year. A pelle as keiner sich nicht gehabt singen the Machle Lakim.
After again was an old nigga.
Yeah. The Rebbe says, a pelle as keiner sich gehabt singen. And then the Rebbe says, I never understood exactly what the Rebbe was referring to. It was something behemshich to the Maimah. But the Rebbe says, it's a Veranda out there, was fit mit zum Ziehen, Krinsky, was fit mit 15 zum Ziehen. Und ist nicht scheich zu die alle in Yonim, wir geritten in der Maimah, something about more Levona, more or Aduma, I'm not exactly. Huh? Something here is nicht movable in the Yalla Yonim. I'm not exactly sure what the Rebbe is referring to. Soll sein am Menagen und singen im Nigen. Okay, whatever. So then he, whatever, you don't hear on the tape, but he starts maybe singing, and then the Rebbe sings, you hear the Olam singing, the Rebbe singing, and it goes on for 2-3 minutes. Then, when they finish the Nigen, the Rebbe says, "Das ist wenn ich gehe, der was fit mit 15 und 20. Aber man darf doch haben an a Golol am Rekova. You need a car." So from out today was Gita a Golol am Rekova. Popek. I didn't say his name, but it was Popek, yeah. He had a car rental those days, and he used to provide a car to go to the Tzien. That was the only time they ever used a car. Zalech werden am Menagen und singen im Nigen. And then the Rebbe says a kind of to himself, but you hear it very clear. The Rebbe says, "Bei andere peilt nicht mein Dibur v'kam upon." Be'em hat gepeilt mein Machshava. V'stam weiß nicht afil wegen was ich red. When he get in port. Basically, the Rebbe's Megaleben Farbrengen that his growing of a beard was because of the Rebbe's Machshava.
No.
Powerful. So basically, we have to. I mean, he must have been about that. I don't know, but Alavai the Rebbe's Machshava should pile on us. The Rebbe a real chassid doesn't need the Rebbe even to tell you. Obviously, some people use that in a krum event. They take the Rebbe again where their machshava goes, so they take the Rebbe with them. But the other way around, you have to be buckle to be able to be mamala the Rebbe's rotzen and verstehen the Rebbe's rotzen. But you have to have the schus to be mechaven. So when a person, a kind of, how can a person be mechaven? In a way, it's not so complicated. It may be hard, but it's not complicated. By the way, people always mix the word hard and complicated together. It's not the same. But again, the mashal, I always say, when you get the matzah stuff, when you get an aleph on the base, yeah, when you get the kufa that we're in now, so people say it's complicated. What's going on? Is that the MS is that it's not complicated.
Why?
Because it's very clear. I didn't say it's easy. The matzah is not easy, but that's why it separates. I always give a mashal in shalom bayis. Let's say that there's a major argument going on between a couple, and a mumcha of shalom bayis listens to the problem, and things develop and it gets worse and worse, and the chachma is to always undo and to come back to the core. And let's say you find out that the guy is home 24 hours a day, and mainly, a person, the way it's supposed to work, people are not supposed to be always together, even parents and children. There's a time that children have to be in school, and so a spouse, this guy doesn't have any work, and Mamela, that's what started off the whole flare and the whole machlekes. Now let me ask you, the problem that the guy doesn't have any work, it can be because he's a shlamazel, it can be because he's lazy, it can be because of many varieties that make a difference. It's a schwerer problem. But is it now that you've figured it out, the shalom bayis is no more complicated. It's very simple. What I'm trying to use is that not everything that's hard, people apply the two things together. It's not complicated. The Rebbe get it very clear, and if you learn the sichos, when the Rebbe says Efen Deigen, people are trying to understand what's meant Efen Deigen. What's meant Efen Deigen? Efen Deigen means to learn the Rebbe's sichos. I'm a cook in the richtige Erte, sagt man die richtige Sache. Don't finish the ball.
Don't tell me what I should think. You're online, Rabbi.
I can turn the computer.
You're online, what's called, the Rabbi.
Now you can talk.
Let's have a look right here. Good daughters. But that's you 200 people watching. Good daughters, right? Good daughters. Why are you watching? How you talking that your mother had to sit at home and you got this, and then you hey Teves. Hey Teves, mit der wie ich schon mit der kommt zu Schule. Gat ihr kommt in die Schule mailen. Aber hey Teves, also wir schon mit Teves Farbrengen. There's no hatchet. That part of the flock.
The kids are talking about Kabbalah's name of Sheikh Tzekhem, which that's the line. Yeah.
My money is that's the one the safety.
Who are you blocking? The memorial or you're blocking your face?
I'm not blocking Zalman. How do you do this? The text out whatever they would let this as my Farbrengen at Yale, it's only took a video. He's so put it away. Shut the computer. That's it. They don't want to come, they should have came. That's it. Next year there'll be another Hey Teves. They should help him to be with Gula. But listen, you're watching mine also. You think they're watching mine now also? Then the Mashiach will come in and they'll sit at home and goes, Mashiach's coming, I watched it online. I watched it online also. You think they're watching it? My son was 12 years old. The Yankees won the World Series and he pushed it. He skipped school, and it was so exciting. He skipped school, he went to the parade. Then he came home and goes, I went to the parade. I'm very happy for you. Son had to be there. But I said, listen, Mashiach's going to come. My son had such selfish. The Yankee won the World Series for 8. He went himself to go. He skipped the Shiva, even the class he did. And sit at home. Mashiach's going to come. They're all seeing and watching on YouTube. Mashiach's coming. Mashiach's here. Oh, but Mashiach came. Mashiach came. Very good. I can't watch this. This is trying to be crazy. If you don't have to bring Hey Teves, guaranteed when Mashiach comes, you're going to watch us on YouTube also. Love it.
Now, people are going to read the headline.
Sit in and read the headline. You never said. You never said. he spoke about baseball. He was as Samuel baseball in the Hawaii was Nico was like the so with the city know from the junior camp, the junior camp, the junior camp. Okay, Samuel, I think he's coming. That's right. I think you can't do that.
Bartfield. I heard a word in the word. I managed to chazir many times. Martin, listen carefully. This guy, Shem Ray, is a shliach in Mexico. His name is Dudi Kaplin. Whatever. He spoke with kids and shluchim. He said something so powerful. People ask, Rebbe says, the Avodah now is a Kabbalah of Mashiach Tzidkenu. And not to make a mistake, that the Rebbe didn't really say a chiddush, because we're always being the Kabbalah of Mashiach. No. The whole time, till Tavshin and Alvin base, whatever, we were working on reaching the point of the Kabbalah of Mashiach Tzidkenu. But now says the Rebbe, everything is done, and now we have to just be Makabel. What does it mean? So everyone is toiling. What's make the Rebbe? What's will the Rebbe? The Rebbe does give a lot of explanation, but he presented it in such a simple way. Huh? Yeah, listen to this. So he says, where else do we find in Yavus, in Yiddishkeit, being of the Kabbalah Pnei? Kabbalah Shabbos. Pnei Shabbos the Kabbalah. So let's take a mashal from Shabbos. He says, Shabbos has a time that no matter what, if you're from a Yid, stretch it till the last second. 4:33, 4:35, done. Shabbos, muktzah, jump out of the car, whatever you are, that's it, it's done. But then there's a time in the day which is called Plaga Mincha. where it's optional. You can be Makabel Shabbos. In Flatbush, it's very common. People are Makabel Shabbos early, and but then they come and go for shul, and they don't drive a car, and sometimes they can call me and ask me to be the Shabbos guy. By me, it's not the Shabbos. By me, it's called Yom Yom Avod Friday till the end, like the Eibishter, till Ben Hashmoshes, and by them it's Shabbos, right? One of the reasons why I also want to be Makabel Shabbos early, not davening Chamayim early, is talking because of this year of Mashiach. Listen, the word is that when you're Makabel Shabbos, you are also b'malacha. But you it's Shabbos, also b'malacha. It's a Shabbos Yid, but in all details. There's nothing you can do. Maybe you can ask a goy. Anyone can ask a goy till bein hashmoshes. But you're Makabel. So he says like this. He says, in every area of life, what the Rebbe is saying is like this: we already have to plug a mincha. Yeah, Mashiach has his deadline, whatever the deadline is, basically. But the Rebbe says that no. The Rebbe says that Giazman, but not wait for the deadline. The Rebbe says be Makabel Pnei Mashiach. What does that mean? Only, but this is the Rebbe's words. This is not even his words. The Rebbe says start living a Mashiach lifestyle, but the mashal fits so well in every area of life. Whether it's how you speak to people, whether how you speak to your wife, whether it's how you eat, how you learn, how you daven. In every area of life, and you have a way of acting, you say to yourself, what would I do b'yom shel acharei? It's called the day after. The day after. What am I going to do then?
The day after Teves, what do you do after the
Day after, the day after Geula, that everyone's going to get.
What do you do?
What?
What is working for?
I threw up the mushroom. I drank the day before. Okay, not the day after.
This is what's going to happen. This is Pasha,
Okay, say it.
and the Mustadil will be in the
After 14 days. No, Bais Rishon, they celebrated 14 days. So Bais Shlishi is going to be a little more, obviously. Whatever it is. But the day after,
14 years.
What are we going to do in every area of life? How we're going to work? How are we going to cheat in working or not? Are we going to
Are we going to work? Who's going to work?
No, I sometimes I have someone that gets me angry. I try to tell myself, I try to say, one second, how are you going to act the day after? That's what I try to work with myself. But this is the word. The word is Leben Heint, you might say Mashiach. And you know what? Maybe people don't want, maybe we will share us because it's kind of very demanding. But to come along and to say that the Rebbe said something that we don't understand, it's a bluff. It's a bluff. I think the Rebbe made it as clear as possible. It's clear. The Rebbe says, Onhaven Leben Heint, you might say Mashiach.
Okay, Mendel, don't go to work tomorrow.
Martin, do you like my drasha?
No.
Not mine.
I have to say something.
It's not
I
mine.
I like you, so it doesn't make sense what you say. When you like somebody, you know what I mean? It's like shit. I can't help it. I like you, so whatever. This is not what you can say. The moon is made out of cheese.
Are you ready to live your Meister Mashiach? Are you ready to live it?
I'm absolutely ready for Mashiach.
I'm ready for Mashiach.
I have to tell you one thing. Me and Mashiach will have a good time. I know you and Mashiach will have a good time. Me and Mashiach will have a good time. You'll be driving crazy. We'll have a couple drinks. Well, hi, Mashiach. What happened? Just tell me. And they'll say, oh, look, good for that. And I don't know. Yeah. I love it. You better understand this. Let me know because of the truth. Really? Not the truth. I'll have to get you later.
By the way, I'm very disappointed. Ruben, I'm very disappointed today. My son came home with a bunch of swear. Or Menachem, he's swear. I gotta take them all back now. Change them. The yazan and everything. It makes sense. Whatever, a bunch of books.
Sefer Mamorim. Oh, I didn't expect this. As the school, I don't come here. I thought that they're going to select. They're going to. It happened last year also, it's true. But this year he came home with those. Then I tried to pick the right things. I didn't realize. Yeah.
Anyway,
Moshe, what are you going to do with this place after Mashiach comes? Shammai, Basil. Good day, Basil. Good day.
Listen, Zami, you don't really buzz me.
How does such a thing as Basil around? Besides the hill of the colleges.
Zami, you know what really bothers me in Teves?
Also, by the way, Basil came now a problem because you don't know anymore if it's hot or until it comes. And Basil.
Yeah, right. But you know what really bothers me in Teves? It even bothers me more than that. I didn't realize what happened because the whole thing was not even understandable what that was screaming about. The whole thing didn't make sense. But what bothers me is that I found out that this.
Well, I'm saying, why are you saying it didn't make sense? Maybe you're saying it's hard to explain it. It made a lot of sense.
Did ever stop it? No one had to think.
Did ever?
It took a very long time for people.
There's such a thing called a Katzkin Kalamachim. A Katzkin Kalamachim. Even Barry Gurari was able to shake the throne.
No, but the whole idea what was happening. But really, what really, it's even worse now.
I'm sorry for interrupting you again, but by the way, it wasn't just Barry Gurari and his mother. There was plenty of Chassidim that needed also the education of who the Rebbe is. You know that in Tovshim and Lamed Vov, when the whole story with the Pfeifen, with Geshem Bear, the Rebbe was talking about classic Lubavitch Chassidim that the attitude towards the Rebbe was a limited attitude. What was that sikha? It's a recorded sikha, you can listen to it, Purim Lamed Vov. That sikha has two parts to it. One part of the sikha, the second part is where the Rebbe explains with Makoros being in a Pfeifen. But the first part of the sikha, the Rebbe is pouring out his heart, how you taught him that Chassidim didn't have the courage to answer off, to support, in simple words, the Rebbe's. You listen to the Leish Sarav himself. I'll tell you a piece which I remember by heart. I remember, not because I remember that Farbrengen, by the way, as a child. I was in London. I remember that hookup that the Rebbe spoke about in Teves Farbrengen. But the sikha I heard from the tape. I mean, I don't remember it from then. So the Rebbe says over there that the Yena. What's the story behind the five? A very important story. Gershom Ber Jacobson. They never already a kind of shown to five. I don't know exactly when, but already in the Chofs. It wasn't a chiddush of the Lamed. But Gershom Ber decided to take a picture in Lamed Vav, I guess, the Rebbe said to us, and he put it in Algemein Journal. Now, I like to always emphasize, when I say the story, I like to always say that Lav Dafki was right to put the picture in. There is such a metzias of certain pictures that don't belong everywhere.
Like this?
Huh? Yeah, like that. Yeah. And by the way, how do we know that the Rebbe himself whistled? Chal, you always think the Rebbe only shows to whistle. Because that Sicha, the Rebbe begins on saying, am meiste mit der Pfeifen. Was Sicha war allein gepfeift und die gegessen andere Pfeifen. That the Rebbe said it himself. So, what I'm saying is that the main Nakud of this, the main Nakud over here is not so much if he's right or wrong putting in the picture. Adarabah, sometimes it's even, it works better to say that he wasn't right. Because there's such a Matthias, the Rebbe himself many times said that certain things he purposely doesn't want to say on the hookup. Franz Zacher was an emes and without so he would say it in Shabbos. Many times the Rebbe said this. So not necessarily a picture of the Rebbe with the whistle belongs in the newspaper. What's the word? The word is Geshenbe did it. Now what are you supposed to do? Defend. What says defend? If someone has a taina, then now the shocking thing over here was that who wrote the taina? I know who it is. I'm not going to say his name because they're shaking off of both. Well, there's two people that they say. One had his name signed, which anyone, if you do research, you'll find it. And some claim that there was someone else that kind of held the pen and wrote for him. Both are shaking off, so we're not going to say who they are. Lubavitch Chassidim, and one of them is actually Gehaven. Someone that kind of what's the shot? The guy that didn't sign his name but just wrote kind of guided it was worried about the cover of Lubavitch. But the way the letter was written is shocking, and I believe, to my opinion, I'll tell you something. To my opinion, Geshem Ben did not print the whole letter. That's my opinion because it's so hard to believe that the minimum Lubavitch Chosset should write such a letter. What did the guy write? He writes to Geshem Ben that every news redactor always looks for sensational stuff, but you overdid it. You went ahead and you printed a picture that embarrassed thousands and thousands of Chassidim. Now, I would expect that the guy would continue to write it. Sicher was the Rebbe taught is 100% okay, but I think it's not a thing to print. But that doesn't say it in the letter, so I don't know if he didn't write it or Geshem Ben took it out. I don't know, but it's not there in the letter. Now, then it became a commotion between Yutas Kislev and Purim. It became there and back. People were writing, you had people not Lubavitchers were kind of defending. So then Purim Lamed Vav, at a certain point, the Rebbe says to sing Aderes Tamuna. First was Sluzba Nashach in the Nechzin Blatt, and then was Aderes Tamuna, and then both Nigunim, by Aderes Nigunim, the Rebbe gave some Aderes Tamuna, the Rebbe gave some pfeifen, and you hear like loud whistling, and then starts the Sikha. And the Rebbe says, Amaisi with the pfeifen, the Sikha Balinka pfeifen, gave an under pfeifen. The Rebbe goes on explaining how he talking that the Chassid that was approached and asked how you talking as they took a shegit in Ruslan. Yeah, he says, the guy complained that the Rebbe is describing a conversation between a Misnagid and a Chassid, which seemingly actually happened. I don't know. And the Rebbe is saying that he complained to the Chassid. Hayitochen, as they took a shegitz in Jerusalem. That's what the Rebbe says. Five is a good job. So this is the Rebbe says. Is jene geworden reutim ponim? The Chassid, und sich geschämt, und mit dem hat bewiesen jenem, als ist euch maski mit dem. Now, was soll mit tun, als tut gechola ilal ruche, the Rebbe is referring to himself, these are the Mamash Rebbe's words, und sich bei keinem nicht beyashiv, und noch darf mir leiden. The Rebbe doesn't say these words, Tamazeh. That's the mind process of certain people, unfortunately. That the Rebbe does things, and then we have to kind of clean up the mess. And then the Rebbe says the Koplik in Kolosh. I don't know how the story came in with the Koplik in Kolosh. Why didn't nicht gekent Material sein suchen am Mocker? And then the Rebbe Taka said, it can sein that it's a mistake also. It can all sein. The Rebbe kind of made himself like a regular human. The Rebbe said that Avraham Avinu never brought some Gemara's where it's okay, but you have to look for a mocker to support it, something like that. So the Rebbe was very upset, the Eifen, that the Chassid is showing the Misnagid that never brought all the Bekoros. But if you translate these words in Lamed Vav, yeah, and you apply it also the Inyan of what happened in Gimel and Dalet, yeah, same exact thing. Tut kechol ha'el ruchay, und es gekein mit Miyatim, is it good for the Lubavitch? It's not good for the Lubavitch. Und danach darf mir leiden. So the point is that even if, like, they have to suffer, even if the Inyan, that's why I emphasize that Lav Dafke was right. Even if you taina that that's not what the Rebbe was encouraging you have all these stupid tainas that the Rebbe was letting sit daven, and the Rebbe did hear or didn't hear. Alex Tusim Avolim. The bottom line is that you have to explain to the world. You have to deal with it. You have to deal with it.
No, you have to be a soldier Cossack. We go to fire, it's stupid, we go with a fire, and you have to say
And the Rebbe says that you have to look for a mocker. You have to look for a mocker and explain it.
The shooting guy came to America, the test of the Shani, and Charles Participation, which is a couple months, 3-4 months later, before Shavuos, he said that he had made a Sach Leiden, and the Verschlafen, the day was a Sach, and Charles Lashon, so the Lashon, no, not the Lashon, Verschlafen, the day when the vet say, look, was in the cast, you know, he says, there in cast, when we got wir sehen in Kassel, die Schöpfe, wir dachten und sie wird kappen, das ist die Welt, sie werden also zerreichen, und sicher, dass sie leken in Berge wegen der Meere, nicht unsere Mittag von unsere. That's what happens. Anything that I've seen, I remember a little boy with the psukim and the Tzivs Hashem and talking about Mashiach and the Yarmulkes. I never saw. I grew up. We had these stupid hats, these black hats. There was no Yiddish kind, black hats and everything was.
No one's laughing at your yarmulke today.
No, my yarmulke I got.
No one's laughing.
Yeah, make you get a free yarmulke.
Maybe if you get a green and blue yarmulke, maybe.
No, yeah, green yarmulke, whatever. They go online. So my yarmulke is online. So, but everything now, even it's not them doing the cycle. It's in the book, and it's in the book. Everything's in the book. So when the Navi said something, the Commissioner what's the time, and it didn't happen. It didn't happen. Shai said in the book, it took 25 years to happen. No one thought, what are you talking about?
Why some of those took 3,000 years.
Okay, so there's help.
No, because Navi didn't say that time.
Okay, but he said something. He spoke to people, and because they're dead, and the children's dead, and dead. But but that's what we're Kozak. That's what we have to Kozak.
By the way, since you mentioned Yeshaya, interesting.
Yeshaya.
One of the nevuahs that Yeshaya Navi said that have no klep in Metzias. Believe it or not, it's happening. Besides the one of Kislu Chavaysim Leitim, and the nevuah that everyone takes for granted and no one even pays attention. That it's a shocking nevuah.
Maga.
Planes.
What?
We say in Shabbos Rosh Chodesh. We didn't say it now by Chanukah. Shabbos Rosh Chodesh, you say, "V'hoya midei Chodesh b'chodshei, midei Shabbos b'Shabbatei, yovei kol basa, v'shtachos lefonei." How in the world? What did he mean when he said it then? He didn't say when it's going to happen. You might say Mashiach. I think it's time people do it, or it's at least doable to fly once a week to Eretz Yisrael. It's unbelievable.
For lunch.
And no one pays attention. Yeah.
For lunch.
And by the way, being in a plane also teaches you. They say, what's the difference of Nes and Teva? A Nes that happens the second time, it becomes Teva. Give a look at a plane. If you told El to Zayda for the 170 today.
Yeah, in Russia.
What means I'll come for the Shoyim? There's two options. One option is that a bunch of eagles. I mean, by the way, come for the Shoyim, even in Mitzrayim, it wasn't Kipshute, but it was more. It was a bigger Nes. What happened to Eschem al Kamfin Shoyim? It's an expression. What happened? How did it happen? It says that when the Eden suddenly, they all were in Ramses. We tell them, oh, Moshe, Yankov, Beryl. Yeah. Everyone suddenly found themselves in the same location. Yeah, but even if we take it literal, Even if you take it literal, you can ask. One option is that we'll climb on legal. We'll climb on Eagles will land outside on Carroll Street, or next to every Stiebel, next to 770, and we'll climb on the wings of Eagles and we'll fly. So we're sure the nest. The nest, mama's nest. But then if you'll ask the Elder Zeta, what about if we'll go into a metal box with these big gigantic wings with Wi-Fi, and we're gonna fly?
And they have.
Ask
springs.
170
They have
years
springs.
ago.
They have coaches.
They would even think that the Abish can't even do it.
No, only.
And now, what changed? What changed? Why now? It's the other way around completely. Very simple. Stop. It's a part the Hezber was made Derech HaTeva. Derech HaTeva, all Abish has to do, he has to do it twice, 3 times, 4 times, and the biggest nest becomes Teva. I saw a Meredith report. I liked it very much from Avigdor Miller. Forget Avigdor Miller.
Everyone, if you come back, my mother was to sure.
I read somewhere he says,
Yeah,
when the Yidden came to Eretz Yisrael and they saw how you eat bread, they said, "How much you lechem in the earth?" What? That's the way bread is. You plant and it grows. It was a nest. That was the nest.
You don't understand what happened. That in the Russian is a meat, a mile. But in Gashmi is a meat, a son. So you have 2 people. You didn't have a meat, they have a tada. That's a drop of rochnis. It was a gash was the thing, but it was rochnis. That gash, that was a mile.
Where do you get the word rochnis? Who says rochnis? Rochnis.
Rochnis, in
It's actually
the Simsei. Rochnis. Exactly. But what happened was they came there to show, and they had a little tour, and he goes, you know, because they love the masach, libri, and they weren't used to libri. They said, we know a meal is asach mer tired of the libri. They said, what happened? Kind of. I forget about this Bitcoin. The Bitcoin, one coin.
Whole technology is because you made some shit.
I never bought a
Whole
Bitcoin.
technology is now. We could have had this 1,000 years ago. Why are we having it only now? The scissors came on now.
No,
It's just in the Zohar.
Technologies we use for the.
By the way, why is this less a nest than Kiryas Yaakov? I don't see.
Why did it come out now? Why didn't this come out 1,000 years ago? 3,000 years after the world was created. Why doesn't it now?
No, because they don't have
The
TikTok.
Zohar said. It says in the Zohar exactly when it's going to happen.
So the planes and everything came out now.
I want to give you a brother.
It didn't come out 1,000 years ago.
You should watch playing without a computer, and people should come. You shouldn't be like the TikTok. You should be pushing
Why are you blaming me? What did I do wrong?
You brought the computer.
I brought the computer. I might take it. I didn't bring it.
He paid me to take it away.
Now they should be trenches.
Whatever was
Huh?
whatever was on the plane one.
Hey, you heard what I said
Yeah.
about what's called?
In France. In France. Only once, yeah. Huh?
Came back by ship.
Yeah, we have
Went
To there by plane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He went from
But
here
down-
to Arizona.
Okay. You know when he came back? What day? Chavches Nisan.
Zami, you were really pissing me off. I mean,
Sure,
how do you
sure.
say this in like in English?
Same time he came the first time, he came back.
Barry is such a not he was
No,
he was
Shabbat.
a nice person.
What brings you
Oh,
here?
Trey, coming.
Sorry, how are you?
I said he's not as Achai.
Huh?
It's Achai.
This level of
This guy was like, that was right. He was the biggest guy. This guy, he's the guy from the wedding. In Florida.
No, it looks like.
Yeah, it looks like that.
By the way, you should know that my father, Shalom, was Dida Natzach, Schus you.
Oh, soon said it's Levi.
No, because Levi's Chasna was over. How was your Chasna? Huh?
You both on Friday.
Chavches Kislev.
I told you about it, right?
Let's take it to the there.
Oh, I saw a whole thing.
Yeah.
How old are you, 12?
Huh? What? What do they all do? Hanukkah. What? Where? Talk about fun.
No, a healthy breakfast. A healthy breakfast with a meadows, one with five and a similar.
Some mama, you moved it a little ahead. Then was Sadia Pepper.
What?
Sadia Pepper. Yeah.
Just keep in mind it.
You stayed for your chasna, and then you stayed for Sadia's bris. Sadia Pepper's bris was both days.
Push it in Gashmis.
You hate him to serve brothers. Yeah? I don't remember.
Where do you come from?
I don't know. I was talking about your husband. I don't remember.
What is that? Zalman, you know, really pisses me off. Now look at this Barry Rabbi. How can he say? No, he didn't challenge out to that. He challenged out to that.
What?
There's no shit day it's not to that. So you challenge it, and the whole thing was fake. The whole thing was a shaker. It's just, you know, just a guy that needed a job. I never saw such a.
Unfortunately, his grandmother.
Grandmother, the Chavdira. Don't say, oh, watch out. Watch out. You know that I will shop.
They said it out in court, Teves. On the yard site of Rebbe Simchaya Mushka.
You said it was nothing.
They read out in her will, she wrote that she's the last Lubavitch to Rebbe.
How can you say? You know, you say that means it's not Shevditis. It's not Shevditis. It's not a Kezanis. It's not a real. It's nothing real. You see, you're talking about this is.
Why did I say Shlomi, Sadia? I said Shlomi. Sadia.
Right, but you not you made it. Zalman, you're right. Zalman, you're Farbrengen, you know, with a little help. How's the food?
Huh?
No,
You know, special? It's business related. Huh? What? Oh, business history. That's good stuff. You don't remember? Without special.
I wasn't going to go to God. But I had to buy my son, wanted to buy it.
You know who your chicken is?
He wanted to work out. So I said, I'll buy you safer. So I said, I want to pay for it. I said, look, I don't know. So I bought it in those big in Chicago. You ever go to my mother big in Chicago?
I got a big in Chicago from the Rebbe. Not the other Agnesha, but when I was a child in England, they announced that the Rebbe is giving £5, I think it was, value to buy Sfarim if you learn Chalamoyah. So I remember I have 4 contractions that I bought, and it says on it from the fin of was it dollars or pounds? I don't remember. The Rebbe gave.
Down.
Big in Chicago. Huh?
Yeah, it was over $2. $2 was over $2. Listen, you live in Chicago? I got this. You want to do yourself one favor? These wine have a little team of Gula. They have lunch in Chicago. They look crazy. Easy way about it.
You also, by the way, I'm just curious. You don't know some shikras in Alpha Base?
What?
Shikras in Alpha Base. You buggy?
Alpha Base?
Yeah.
No,
No, you're buggy. By the way, you should know, it's very interesting. There's no look at the Torah on Pasha Shoftim, you know?
Yeah.
The Rebbe talks about it. There's a man I need to let you involved. The Rebbe gives a very ruchnistic reason. It's stuck in modern, because think about it. The Rebbe says in the Maimon, it's not that the Alter Rebbe never said the Maimon Shoftim. He said. Okay, but this
Never asked Fred.
Torah covers all the parshas except Shoftim. And he says the Rebbe says it's not that the Alter Rebbe didn't have the Tzemach Tzedek didn't have a Mamorim from the Alter Rebbe on Shoftim. This is Mamorim. For some reason he didn't make Shoftim. So and the Rebbe also explains why the Mamorim of Elul under A. It's a very unique Maimon. It's not a standard style of a Maimon. But even the Rebbe's answer doesn't completely satisfy the Seichel. He explains that Shoftim is being an El is Achdus, and you know that Li and Shoftim is Hepech HaShtavus, because the Shofet and the Nishpat are not at the same level. Kitzur, I have a tachos, a word that I say that
Where do you say this?
when I get to talk, when I get to chat,
In the corner?
yeah, listen to this.
Who likes to talk?
Shoftim, you hear? That we have a big burden of, unfortunately. Fortunately, we have a lot of young left to learn. You have to learn Bika Chicago. But besides,
You better learn English, guy.
yeah. And besides that, we have a Herot, Chitus and Rambam, obviously, a three Prakim Rambam. And then the Rebbe says, learn Torah, Lukuta Torah. Yeah. You learn P'sush Parsha. So Kitzur, so now you have it. Huh?
I'm old enough now.
The Gemara and the Sechta.
I'm old, I'm old.
No, but every now, but you have to learn the Sechta a year.
You had to talk about like, never I saw this passage for you know, a 16 man. It was that I let the adapt the mother.
So Kitzur, where can there be? And by the way, we should know that Sichus and Alvin base, people think it's, first of all, it's a logic that you always kochsuch in the Rebbe says, why are you medaktikim in the Sichus, the last Sichus? It's a logic. Logic means to say that it's normal that you're going to kochsuch in what the Rebbe said last. But besides that, there's a Hirabah for Reshes, by the way, that Gimel, it's a Meiser B'fnei Atzmai, but Gimel Shvat, the same day that the Rebbe spoke to Sikha about the Friedrich Rebbe's stroke, 6 weeks before Chazai Nada, there's a Sikha that spoke after Mincha, which is also on
What year was it? Right?
No base. 6 weeks
No,
before.
when did you get stroke? Right?
It was more like it was a long. When did he actually stop speaking? When did he actually stop? Kefadibel was later, like I don't know.
By the way,
Yeah.
it's funny. I want to say something interesting. So I was sitting shit with my father. So Uncle Label said he came to Sugar. So it sounded good. So he said like this. I said, well, what's this? I want to in touch with class or touch with the complacent. So he said like this. I knew this. He said that if you that, he never stopped writing. He always wrote, even to the end. When my mother, he stopped writing my mother in Tafshin Ches. So when my mother in Tafshin Ches went in, and he brought my mother from the pays and the time.
I was actually studying a week or two ago. I pulled out the Sefer, and I was kind of studying page by page to see. I never really looked into it. That I tried to realize that Tafshin Ches in the beginning is Mamorim of Tafshin Ches, and then later it becomes Mamorim from the past.
And that's why we have a Sefer, Tafshin Yud, it's from Tafshin Yud, and Yud Aleph. The first, the Tafshin Yud, Yud Aleph, never gave out. Still gave out the place in Tafshin Yud. And this and Basel Gandhi was a Meyer from Peidala.
Pegimel.
That was the first mime that I ever heard from.
Was it Peidala? I thought Peidala.
First Gun was the first mime. But it was just.
I don't think so.
No, it was
never
never
printed.
printed. And the Rebbe gave it to them. There was Magiva Maimer. I mean, I guess it was only enough, and the Rebbe was Magiva Maimer.
What? Basiligani?
Basiligani.
No. You'll look and say from Mamorim Pei Gimel, you'll see word for word. The Maimon is there word for word,
Yeah,
but there was a Hakdama. That's the Dibba Hamaskil. Havim Zetzach, Hakim Chila, Basiligani, Chizikala.
He didn't just print the Maimer, he gave it to the Rebbe. The Rebbe looked over the Maimer. He looked over the Maimer before he gave it up.
Maybe he added Kitzurim.
This could allow them to confess him. There'd be the Rebbe would write a letter before the Christmas.
Rebbe,
And the Friedrich, and then we to my mind, they would put in, that was it. So a lot of those my mother, but so it's very interesting, it was only saved from my mother, but Friedrich still wrote letters. He wrote a lot of letters, but he stopped writing my mother. It's like, but my mother, there was no more my mother that Friedrich wrote, or I guess said also, he only said, but there's letters till the end, till last week.
Interesting. The Tafshin Ches Mamorim, did he say them also, or only wrote them?
Oh, basically.
Okay, so going back to Gimel Shvat in the morning,
One second.
They have a-
That's not high.
That's not high.
Alcohol. That's
Also,
alcohol.
it's never gonna end, it's endless.
What,
I
mashke?
keep pouring, but it doesn't end.
By the way, you know that, that's in my, I read the School mashke. Going to the beach, full of mashke, the whole day, we mashke, dog or not, mashke. We are technical. Down. You have to sound like it. You think you're a shliach, really here, you look flat. You have to go flat. Flat bushes. They have to learn. They have to learn to be bigger shabbos. It never said it to no man to guys in Chicago. You shocked that these guys are blind.
We're the only ones around.
You have to learn about moving talking. You have to know that and where it comes from. Yeah, and that how that how they get you're responsible.
The next, we want California, the next.
We are, let's go. The Ryan Hamlet is Ryan and India. The top.
Tickets.
Not a minute. You have to learn that. They'll come. They'll go crazy.
We did get.
Chaim Rosh, they've been.
Kitzer.
It was a whole thing.
Chaim.
Seven
Dude,
months
with
back,
that
then we-
Chaim, Chaim, Kia,
Okay.
Chaim, Chaim,
Yeah,
Yeah, I will buy it.
You say DML. You never say DML, I say DML. But listen, Tom, listen.
You know, by the way, your uncle Label Girl also told me that once. You know, by the way, he used to give a shear in Flatbush.
Really?
Before he went around, probably in Vov, in Hain and Vov, for like almost a year, every Thursday.
Yeah.
I used to bring him to Flatbush, he used to give a shear Tanya.
You start bringing the shul, like Shabbos.
Yeah? So give a shear Tanya.
Yeah.
So I remember one time,
Now my wife is.
we were discussing this issue of Michiel Melech. So on the way back, the funny thing is, I think I told him this story, that the Rebbe said, that he once gave, the Rebbe said this a few times, that he once gave tzedakah by night. And someone came to him and complained to him, was taking Kisraelis, so this is going back, obviously before the year. You can hope so. And then Kisraelis, I'm going to get tzedakah by night. So the Rebbe says that he told us to the Frierdiker Rebbe. Doesn't have to be clean, it's a Farbrengen.
Listen, he's some from England, he has a choice.
So the Rebbe said, the Rebbe told this to the Frierdiker Rebbe, and the Frierdiker Rebbe said that Mustama Yen get decided by talk. The guy that's complaining. Why am I saying it? When you hear these people that say, I don't say Chiyah, I say Chiyah Melech, trust me. The guy didn't say Chiyah Melech also. I said, say Chiyah Melech, it's also good.
You're talking about tzedakah, you said?
Never said that he gets tzedakah by night.
Oh, she said he doesn't.
So the Frierdiker so someone complained to him. How you talking? He's giving by night. So the Rebbe says, I told him to do it. So he doesn't stop making takes.
I always, if I'm out of the talk, I'm not going to start with Yamela. This is so.
Yes,
Listen, I was in Chicago, I was crossing the street, going to the store, and the guy, fat guy crossing the street, he would have looked, this is must have been in the noon and hey, the love of Zion, I don't remember what year it was. Looks a bit, says you guys are coming back. I called up my shalom right away. I said, I'm sending one right away.
The whole person.
My son was in second grade, for 1993, so between 1998 and 99. So he had a classmate. So I would say, I say, no. So his classmate said, he goes, no lady. 5 to 6 years old. No lady, you like to push it a schreitzel. He wants to say, was he pushed like a schwarzer? You're a schwarzer, you don't see a thing.
I come from here, so we're talking about the Sikha. Yes? You will find. So what do you do with so much material you have to learn? Rika Chicago, Chitas, Rambam, Torah, Likud Torah, Stikul Gemara.
My son sent me a video of it. It was it was Pepsi Chaval, Chai Tishrei, Pepsi Lenin. Hier Chayeno is Taylor. And we can't use Zayin with Chitas. So can't learn Chitas. That's ungenommen. That's not Lenin. It's ungenommen. That's in our like.
I heard that piece like a few.
It's our DNA. This is what you do. No, non-negotiable. Learned Chesed, let's say the Chitas. Oh, I'm thinking, well, let's get Chesed, let's go. But Chitas is non-negotiable.
So one guy says,
We make Chitas negotiable with, we're done. Non-negotiable.
and Rambam is negotiable.
It just means Chitas.
Chitas, you want to Rambam?
By the way-
I want to tell you something.
by the way-
Chitas is doable. Rambam, you have to be committed. Chitas is no excuse. I cannot imagine anyone's excuse. There's no excuse. There's no excuse. What?
So Chitas means Rambam.
Oh, Chitas is no, but no.
It's an
But
extension.
Rambam means learning Rambam, not reading Rambam. I mean you, and put open the now we're gonna.
By the way, the Rebbe once said that we can learn in halacha be'iyam.
No, but the Lenin, when ain't halacha is not come in, not we should.
No, it doesn't mean.
Only one halacha is.
Someone-
That was true.
Someone once told the Rebbe that he has a hard time learning his section of Yitzhak Kislev.
Yeah, that's.
So the Rebbe told him, you know what? Gemara Rashi takes us to the Marsha.
I think it was about Rashi.
So one guy says, I have no time to learn the Sikha of the Alpha base because I can barely manage to look at the Torah.
Yeah.
The other guy says, I have no time to learn Likud Torah because I barely manage to see the Alpha base. What do you do? And then he has a Torah, it's a Chassidus Shabbat, it can be in the Alpha base. So the Tzemach Tzedek arranged at least, Shabbos Shoftim, there should be no argument. No one's going to say I have to learn Likud Torah.
Listen, Zalman, I was in Florida, and this is Zalman's nephew and niece got married. So I said, say that everyone writes something for the. So I said, listen, invariably you're gonna have a fight. You're gonna fight with your wife. So the fight with your wife should be about one thing: take your sperm off the table. Take your sperm off. Take your
Actually, from all the stuff that you spoke tonight, I like to find it.
And so you know, I don't like. I ate the soup, but I really don't like it. Never say.
Yeah, but you know what you do sometimes?
I ate the soup.
If you want your wife to respect you, take out swear and try and stop and put it on the table.
No, I said, look, you have a shayla, because I can't learn the Ralph days, and I can't learn them both together. So maybe you don't have to learn it, but at least have it on the table.
You know the story of
Have it
Shiksa
there.
stole the Gemara?
What?
Shiksa stole the Gemara? You remember that?
Chicks on the night.
The Balabasta asked him, why did you take the Gemara? He said, I tell you, I'm sorry that I took it, but my husband has a very hard time falling asleep. And I see that your husband always opens his book.
That's Zalman.
It's very hard to find a joke no one knows.
No, Zalman, you know what happened? The guy comes in 770, and he sees a bacher, like he's reading himself up, like, kill him. He goes, what are you doing? So he goes, I heard there was shouts the Rambam of Siddur. You know what I'm saying? I have another. Zalman, are you going to learn the lesson? 1 o'clock. So, Chunky, Zalman should do something.
You know, big Chicago.
You know, not think of yourself. You probably should learn yourself. You shouldn't go to sleep before you learn the whole Chicago. At least there's only 3 of my mother, one of my. But you have to learn what these guys in Flemish. They go crazy. They can look at themselves, they go crazy. The person, they'll go question crazy. So the guy was like, he have to be shot on the board, but in the mother, killed. And I have to learn. You have to take this guy. Hey, listen. We can save you. We can save generations of people. What's called? They won't have that haircut. Like Mela, I have long hair. I have good hair. They have this haircut like this day, like this. That's. But listen, Zalman, you have to know that.
Why don't you take a Chassidus haircut once in a while?
You know what happened? I'll tell you the Bergman. You know, my ship is stopped. There's Mr. Bergman.
Still there?
He was shaking. And I said,
Still there?
Oh, yeah. I said, my ears. Don't hit my ears. And I said, I'm never going to do this again. I was so nervous. I said, I don't want to feel that feeling again in my life. So I said, don't touch my hair. The last guy touched my hair. He's shaking his hand. And I said, I know for sure he's going to cut my ears off. He goes, what happened to you? He goes, nothing. What would I say? So without it,
If you take a serious haircut, there's a
Yeah,
chance
you
that your
just
children, a chance that your children might also take.
what?
There's a chance that your children might also take a haircut.
Listen, that's so important. Sounds so
That's
important.
as if it's come on. It's unimportant.
That's so important. The Vela, I could only take 3 haircuts a year.
By the way, Nachman Sudak.
Oh, not I killed him. I killed him.
And this guy,
No, I killed him.
I admire him.
When he was old man, I asked him, not I walked him home because he walked slow. And then I walked him home, and it was Shabbos, and I think Saturday he died. I think I walked too fast.
I remember he used to be very against the leather yarmulkes. And he's right. He happens to be right.
The thing about Tzedek is you're a nice man. So, when you're nice, you know, you get as crazy you are, you get away with it. Shreya, we're coming. Shreya, let me ask a question. What do you want to
Okay, what time is it now?
How bless you do?
What's the 7:07?
Son, pass me a cup.
Yeah.
Where's your cup? I get a drink. Where's your cup? Oh, that's here.
11:20.
All right.
Gotta go buy some sperm. Huh? What?
No,
Where's the cake? Cake from the Nachman.
obviously, if you're buying it.
Never gave $1 to buy sperm. What? Hey, tell you. You don't remember? Never gave a special $1. Michal, that's 2%, you know. Once we say, I want to buy small sperm. Even though buy small sperm, they never always said the word Yavdel Chachameh. But they need to buy sperm. But what do you, the more the better. You know, they never wanted that people should be part of the book club. The book club. What's the matter?
I bought for my age.
The what?
I bought more sperm for my age.
More than 12 sperm?
What's running in his age?
All the sperm you're going to buy now, you're going to have in your house.
Exactly what we got.
I bet you saw that picture that I posted once. A painting that the real painted. The real painted Shul in England. So he's the kid in the picture, and behind him is Tata. I posted it because I thought it looks like him. I didn't know that it was meant to be him. Okay, Barfield, it was a pleasure. Let's go to the. I want to tell you another interesting thing. You like this? Listen to this. Zalman, you learn my big Chicago with the guys in the flappers? That's right.
Wait for me for it. What do I know? That's Zalman, don't know.